episode 8.
Awesome.
Today I have longtime friend and just a good friend of mine, David Oquendo, who is a professional artist. He has his MFA from Montclair University. He is an educator. Recently received his BJJ Black Belt under Louis Vintolaro at Performance BJJ in Fairlawn,
New Jersey,
right?
Correct.
And an interesting tidbit we'll probably get into is our history. We opened a little clothing line together.
Yeah. We attempted something.
Yeah, we attempted it way back when. But I've known Dave for a very long time.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 plus years,
12
right?
something years, yeah.
So, before we get into it, we could probably, I don't usually have food, but we just finished training, and Dave got himself a smoothie. He already finished it, but I got this. We went to this place called Fruitables, and you might hear me munching on it a little bit, so forgive me. But yeah, I got, what was it called? The Jamaican bowl or whatever? But
It's acai with a lot of just...
No, it wasn't acai. It was called pitaya or something like that. Another thing. I don't know. But it looks good. So
it's sugar.
Yeah, it's basically sugar, which I need right now because I'm like dying. But I'm wearing my tattoo artist, Sean Hannon. This thing is like 3XL. That's all he had left. But I wanted to rep him. So Sean, I'm looking forward to finishing my half sleeve. So I'll see him in a couple weeks. But and you're wearing a piece that you created, right?
Yeah, well, I designed the logo in the front. So I guess we'll talk about my work, I guess, eventually. But pretty much high school. Actually, we weren't really friends in high school, but I knew this guy. His name was Vladimir Petrick in high school. And we kind of sort of just kept in touch via social media. And he's literally like one competition away from being a professional bodybuilder. And he really likes my artwork a lot. And he's bought like six, I don't know, like a lot of paintings of mine. And he's like, hey, I love your calligraphy work, and I want you to like write grit in your sort of style. I changed it a little bit so it actually looks a little bit like the word grit. And he made it and actually gave me one or two. So it's pretty cool. Wow. So it's kind of cool, like having your work or having my work organically spreading, you know, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's like people want it.
Yeah, it's like I'm just doing my thing, and then people are like, hey, I like your work.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing. Come over here. I'm like, okay. Which is something that I little by little learned. But I guess, I don't know if you want to go with just the questions or...
We'll run through the...
Or because I could just like talk
points.
and...
Yeah. No, I think that was a good intro about the shirt. By the way, this thing tastes like Fruity Pebbles. It was delicious. So I guess first thing we could get into is a little history of you and me. Cool. We met in church during the campus, like college days. I know you're not following that faith anymore, but we stayed in touch. We kept a friendship. Yeah. And then you during that time you also introduced me to jiu-jitsu.
That was a weird time for both of us, I think.
Yeah. I think I told this story before, but now that you're here, I can actually explain it.
Cool.
So, you remember, I was like, jiu-jitsu is stupid. Yeah. I was like, it'll never work.
I'm gonna show this guy what's up. Like, all right, you think it's stupid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I just knocked somebody out trying to grab me, right? And because of that, you're like, oh, you should just do a tournament. So, and to see if you actually can do it. And then I did Beast of the East 5. I think it was a Grappler's Quest. And I think I did the no-gi version. And then I didn't do pretty bad. Like I did pretty well. I went against that kid. He was pretty tough.
You had I think it was 1 or 2 matches, or just one match?
I don't know. Yeah, I only had one match.
Only one match.
I lost by points.
Yeah, but it was a good. It was an exciting.
Yeah.
Like people start crowding around.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
What's going on? Yo, with this crazy the white belts. I'm like, yeah.
They were like, oh, that guy's sandbagging. He's a cheater.
Yeah, I actually was yelling. I was like, yo, this guy's sandbagging. And he was like, he really was. It happens. Sadly, way too much.
Sandbagging, by the way, is when you compete in a lower division so that you can pick up belts or gold.
So you can just get medals. It's just more guaranteed that you'll win, but you're kind of being insincere with your skill level.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I got the bug, and then you introduced me to Brian because Brian was training under Lou during that time, and then. Brian being my coach, who, had Ricardo, he was working with Ricardo, who made it to the UFC. And then, you're like, oh yeah, he's got a fighter in the UFC. He's got a fighter in Strikeforce. You should go to Brian if you want to fight. And I was like, all right. So I remember at that point in my life, I didn't have any money. Like I was getting broke.
Yeah. Well, you weren't like, all right. You're more like, no, I'm broke. And I'm like, come on. Like, you can, barter. Yeah. You can barter with the guy. I'll connect you with them. And
yeah. Well, I called him and I was like, I'll clean your mats. I'll scrub your toilets, like whatever. And Brian was like, just come in. I'll let you train for free for like a month. After that, you got to get a job. And then I got a job. I ended up getting a job in that month. But you introduced me to Brian. And then we started a clothing line together, which was... not my blood. and
it came via like a joke. It was like we were just.
It was at the sushi restaurant.
Yeah, we were at a sushi restaurant.
Yeah, my brother's sushi restaurant. What was it called?
I forgot.
Shogun 27. Yeah. No, Shogun.
I forgot.
One of the Shoguns, but it was like my brother was talking about his story. We got into a fight with 4 guys, and he knocked them all out or whatever. It was on Halloween. It was like, I think he went to a frat house or something, and these 4 Teletubbies tried to mess with him.
Yeah.
And he threw one off of the balcony.
It was the weirdest story.
Yeah, it was such a nutty story. He beat up all of them, and then he had blood on him, and he was like, whose blood is that? Your blood? He's like, not my blood.
Not my blood. And then we were like, that sounds pretty cool. I could put it on a t-shirt and have like a bunch of blood splatter on it and have NNB on it.
And then that's where we began. I learned how to silk screen, and
I was in grad school at the time.
Yeah, you were in grad school, and I started a little shop, and I made t-shirts for other companies, but we were like trying to make our own shirts and stuff like that. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like we went to a tournament. We made that video. And that was like one of the tournaments where I got gold.
Yeah.
And I beat like everybody. And this was when I was a blue belt. And then we were repping the shirt. We got interviewed by like their local news. It was really interesting. Too bad I didn't go anywhere.
It's a learning experience.
It was a nice time. I learned how to silk screen, which props to everybody that does that stuff because it is a lot of work.
It's a hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle.
Yeah, you gotta work. Mm-hmm. It's not easy.
Yeah. But I always appreciated your artwork, and it was stuff that I was like, man, we definitely can make something with this. You know, it was always a cool idea. It just afterwards we really sat down and thought about it. I was like, this is kind of violent, not my blood.
Like who's gonna wear these bloody shirts? Like they're just literally just blood, not literally just bloody shirts, but it was kind of mimicking blood, and so like.
This is a very violent, bad tone shirt. We shouldn't sell this stuff.
Yeah, we're kind of advocating, which is weird because
at the time it was like cool.
Yeah,
Tap Out was out, and
Tap Out
Contract Killer. Yeah, all these like crazy brands.
Metal Militia.
Yeah,
and Affliction is all about
But you don't see too much. I mean, I'm sure they're still available, but there's a lot now. It's very grappling or specific focused. You get the tight the rash guards and the tight combo with the matching shorts and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff that's very geared towards either MMA or jiu-jitsu. But so that's a little history with me and Dave. But let's get into your art background,
Sure.
right? And I'll probably be eating while you speak. Where did this obsession with art come from? How did it begin? How did you know that this was something you wanted to pursue, for basically the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been many moments in your life where you're like, man, this kind of sucks, but you kept pushing through. You didn't give up. How did that come about, this obsession?
I mean, it started when I was just a kid that didn't understand English, pretty much. Like, I came to, the mainland United States from Puerto Rico when I was like 2 or 3 years old. Spanish-speaking household.
I didn't know you lived in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember. I came when I was like 2, so I don't have any memory. But I remember living in Patterson. My first memories was me in this Patterson floor, and there's rat scurrying across my feet. My dad just like running across and just like beating the crap out of this rat, killing it. And mom was like, "Don't kill that rat in front of the baby." And he's like, "He's not gonna remember." And that's actually one of my first memories.
And you remember?
Yeah, I remember that vividly.
Very vividly.
And I asked my mom, "Did that actually happen?" She's like, "Oh yeah, that happened a few times actually." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm not making that up.
Patterson's the hood.
This at the time was right next to a gasoline station that was like old and decrepit. So it was a rat infested, cockroach infested, gasoline smelling house. But when you're a kid, what do you know? It's like you don't have any context. But my parents eventually separated, and I was youngest of 3. Didn't really speak. When I did speak, I spoke Spanish, but I didn't really speak much anyway. And I would just draw. And I remember being in kindergarten in Garfield, New Jersey, and then that's actually after my parents separated. And then I actually did kindergarten twice. I did for 2 years. And people are like surprised, like, how do you do kindergarten for 2 years? Like, well, because I didn't do anything. I just drew all day. That's all I did. I didn't even pay attention. I just drew. And I mean, it's a debate about learning disabilities and this and that, but they kind of asked my mom, and we're like, they think that, and my mom actually works in that field, so she actually was able to sort of like
what, children with disabilities?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's the lady that observes children and says, okay, are they getting the help that they need? I don't even know the exact title, but she just makes sure that if there is a child that's sort of special needs, that they're getting the help that they need. And she'll write like the forms and all that and the correct steps to do. So that was actually her cup of tea. So it wasn't that hard for her to sort of acknowledge. Anyway, but during all that, I just drew. All I did was draw and color. I didn't really and somehow, I don't know how, I kind of figured out my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s during all that. And
how old was that?
I started speaking English, I think age 7. So about for 2 years, I didn't really talk to anyone. I just drew and colored. I guess early on, my mom never told me, she did I don't like saying the right thing, but she did a noble thing. She never told me to stop drawing. She just said, okay, keep doing that. I mean, do your homework and this, and all that. But she never said stop drawing. She actually pushed me to do it more often. And she actually gave me projects to do just for fun. And I would cry, like, I can't do it, it's too hard. She's like, do it, you can do it. And I'm like, I can't, I'm crying. And sounds like child abuse at this time, if I could explain it. If I love you, Mom. But she would say, you don't love me, you're not trying. And I'm like, I do love you. I'll draw, I'm crying, like whatever projects you have for me. And then her friends would be like, that's really hard, Ida, like your son did that, he's like 8. So yeah, it's cool, right? It's like, that's really hard. Like, she's like, it is, like, so she's not an artist, but she just knew how to push me. Which
I can see that.
Yeah, she just knew how to just challenge me. She knew how to, she's a mom, so she knew how to like press the right buttons. I think some parents press the wrong buttons sometimes. But that's where kind of like my passion for art came. Good. That's where my passion for art came, was that, and it's something that just kind of did naturally, and I just enjoyed it. I never really stopped. I think a lot of parents, they discouraged their kids early on, and I have a lot of students, I guess I'm going to, like, me as a teacher, I have a lot of students today where they would say, I'll say, hey, so do you draw? Do you do art? Like, yeah, I used to when I was a kid, but I don't do it anymore. I'm like, why not? I was like, well, I stopped because some person told them it was nonsense or it didn't matter. So it's when you do something that you love, it's not really work. So it's kind of, and once you find something that you like, you invest in it, you put in time, then you get better, then you enjoy it, then it's kind of sort of like positive cycle. It's like you just kind of keep doing it. Similar to jiu-jitsu, it's like you find it, something that you like, you try it, you figure it out. And at that point, I mean, then growing up, I never felt that art was work, and it wasn't until I started getting like awards, or like around middle school, I got awards, like go do like this art competition or this art show where kids will be invited to show work, and it was pretty cool. It was really odd because, like, why are you making art a competition? But like, it's really odd. But and I remember in high school, my teacher, Miss Galatio, I actually remember her name. I hope she's okay. I don't know where she is. She really encouraged me. She was like, you can like major in art in college, right? I'm like, I can? I didn't know that. That's cool. So it's around middle school, high school, I realized I decided around like freshman year in high school, or even 8th grade, maybe before that, I was like, I'm going to go to Rutgers to get my BFA, then I'm going to go to Montclair State to get my MFA, and then a handful of years later, that's what happened. And it's kind of like, I'm going to quote Dorian Yates, is like, people say like, you put all your eggs in one basket. And he's like, well, I only had one egg. I only had one basket. So that's all I did. So when you only have that one thing, you're going to put everything into it. I think some people, I mean, it's a gross generalization. I'm not saying this for everyone, but like, if you're good at one thing, like, put everything into it, because that's all you really got, Yeah. So I knew I was an artist, and I knew I can talk. And we were saying, like, from a kid that didn't talk at all, I did several years of speech therapy, the ESL, special needs classes and all that, from not being able to talk at all to now, like, lecturing and at at Bard Early College, and now then teaching also at College of St. Elizabeth, teaching workshops through Rutgers, Newark, Rutgers University, Newark campus. So it's kind of weird going from a child that just, for the most part, kind of mute to like, I don't shut up. So. and also now I also teach private lessons for jiu-jitsu, and so I'll now, not profession, but I do a lot of talking, a lot of like communicating. Yeah, maybe back then there was probably a lot you wanted to say, but you couldn't, so it came out in your art. Drawing. Yeah. I know. There's plenty of times. So me, so my fiance and me. So she's really into art, and she's like, I grew up. I didn't go to museums. I didn't, do that. Yeah, I did that too. I went to museums and all that. Yeah. So I didn't have that experience. So whenever I see these famous paintings, I'm like, I don't get it. Right? I'm not cultured like that, but she is, and she's very like, wow. And I'm just like, oh, that's nice, And I remember having a discussion with you about like, oh man, well, what makes things art, right? Like, that was frustrating. But it's like, is that art? Is that art? I remember there was this thing where I was in grad school. I'm like, you're so stupid. Yeah, I went to one of your shows and I was like, this is art. Yeah. This is terrible. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, Simon, shut up, stop talking. Yeah, I remember that. That's funny. In retrospect, it's funny. Yeah. Well, now I'm getting a little more cultured because I'm my fiance, and
I'm starting to learn, and you're teaching me as well. I think even Todd. Well, Todd's our friend. He's a naturally gifted human being. Probably could have been like the next whatever.
You could have been the next Ronnie Coleman. You could have been the next Mike Tyson. Doesn't matter. He's
it doesn't matter.
Genetically very gifted individual.
Yeah. We both me and Todd came from the similar background. We're like, man, what the heck? This is art. And then you had blew our mind with the whole Michelangelo's ceiling.
Sistine Chapel?
Yeah, the Sistine Chapel where I legit... Sistine,
not 16th.
Yeah.
Sistine Chapel.
See, that's where my unculturedness comes out. But I was so impressed by it before knowing, because I was like, wow, he did this whole thing himself.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, he had helpers. I was like, helpers? I was like, that's not impressive.
Yeah, he had assistants. He had several assistants.
Yeah, so that blew both me and or Todd and I's minds, and it came back to your artwork, because so you do some crazy pieces. Like you do like huge, gigantic wall, like murals, and just incredible things, and like I didn't know that you had help.
Yeah.
I was like, Dave did this himself?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, he's an artiste. This guy's the man. And then, when I saw Belmira, one of your friends,
yeah,
and a couple other people helping you out, I was like, bro, what's going on here?
You're cheating.
You're cheating.
Yeah. You're lying to me.
Yeah, and then you're like, Michelangelo did the same thing, and I was like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes certain processes lend itself to assistance. Like earlier on in my work, I did lots of cartoony like characters. Mm-hmm. That's where the monk puppy alias comes from. There's sort of a half dog, half deity.
I'll put a picture of it.
Yeah. And it was pretty cool. And then I had other characters like Boomer, which is like this sort of Mickey Mouse mushroom guy, and the curious elephant. And that's all I'm gonna say. It's a curious elephant. I explained the curious elephant to my students, and they're like, "What? You painted that? That's crazy." Anyway. So those sort of characters lent, because I was sort of using the sort of iconic imagery, and I wanted to make sure it was consistent iconic imagery, so I just use a projector. Mm-hmm. So I would like, I'll draw everything out, clean it up with Photoshop, and then like project it with overhead projector. Just a big box, old school overhead projector. And so the point wasn't so much about like who, like, this is like my hand painting it. The more I was more about the idea of this image, this icon. Yeah. And it's no different from architects,
silk screeners, like
so
you print the image and then
every mural I've done, I did 90% of it, but sometimes it's crunch time. Sometimes you have only like 48 hours to paint something.
Well, the most recent stuff that you've been doing, I know you've been doing by yourself. Yeah, nobody else can do that.
So like eventually I was challenged by a curator and friend. I'll name her because I'm not saying anything bad about her. Her name is Rebecca Jampol, and she really challenged me about the whole use of the projector, in a positive way, and about that it could be limiting sometimes, because you're kind of stuck with this like tool. And if I'm trying to paint something during the day, I can't use a projector. It just won't work. So I kind of limited my work to just inside as opposed to outside. So I was like, I'll show you. I was like, okay, well, and then I kind of organically I started getting into meditation and all that, and I was kind of discovering other sort of like ways of worship and meditation and outside of Christianity. I've been doing that already, but And so I was like, well, what are connections between like different religions and different ways of meditating? It's like, oh, like, well, what's an object? I'm like, oh, prayer beads, like, and rosaries. You know,
I think one of my favorite pieces that you've done is the infinity. The rosary or the beads.
Yeah.
I love that one.
So there's like different like Catholicism has rosaries, Buddhism has the beads. Even some sects in Judaism have knots. I know in Greece they have worry beads. So it's almost always like some sort of sphere of some sort, and these are all tools. And then I was sort of inspired by mandalas, and mandalas are sort of like temporary, like circular designs and they use in Buddhism. They're made of like colored sand and in chakras, and just kind of just discovering new ideas of different colors and all that. So at first the beads are very like spherical, like they actually look like spheres, like on a flat surface. They look kind of three-dimensional, and then little by little it became more about the brush stroke, and it just became more about the line and then it became very flat, almost completely flat. And that's where the whole cartoon aesthetic went to, like beads. And I always tell people, like, well, they say, wait, weren't you doing like cartoon stuff like 5 years ago or whatever? I'm like, and I always say, I kind of feel my process is, I feel like it's a bit like a stand-up comedian, even though I don't find myself to be funny at all. However, I'm very much inspired by comedy. But a lot of comedians these days, they'll have like a special, and after their special, they don't like do the same jokes. They kind of scrap everything and then they start over.
Yeah.
And similarly, I'm kind of the same. Like after like a handful of years of paying the same thing, I kind of get restless. I'm like, you know what?
You're evolving.
I can scrap this, and if I want to do it again, no one's telling me like I don't have to just continue to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I'm try to tell a story of how I got into the calligraphy.
Actually, before we get into that, I wanted to know, well, actually, this all ties in together. You can get into that as you speak. But I wanted to know how you came up with those ideas of the monk puppy, boomer. Like what inspired you to have those like creations in your mind? Like when I see the monk puppy, I mean, you did a cute one recently where you put him in a gi.
Yeah.
He was wearing a black belt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cute.
Yeah, it was a little cute. Monk puppy wearing a gi and a black belt. But in the overall idea of coming up with that character, like, you don't just come up, like, I don't know. I can't just sit here and be like, oh yeah, I should come up with this thing. Like, what is the what was the inspiration for those things? I'm
very, I think. Well, it actually goes back to as an undergrad student where I was so bad at graphic design, but I took a handful of classes. I was really bad, but I learned a lot in graphic design. And there's something in graphic design called a loaded image, and a loaded image is a great look, like an example of a loaded image would be the American flag. It's loaded, as in like if you put it anywhere, it's like people have an opinion. People like are gonna have like they recognize it immediately and they have an opinion almost immediately. Like a heart, it's a loaded image. Christ figure, that's a loaded image. So I was really into like iconoclast or just icons like so. Most people, they have like all these different ideas. Yeah. Or I can't say all. Most people, I have these. As an undergrad student, I'll just like paint, and have these layers and layers of abstract imagery, and people ask me, so what is it about? I'm like, everything. It's about it's about all my experiences, and it was hard for me to sort of explain what my art was about because it was very like abstract and kind of everywhere, very like Mark Rothko, very Jackson Pollock like. However, I realized, oh wow, like I can create a symbol or an icon and within the icon, it means all these things. And I can kind of collage those icons together or characters together. I guess it's hard to explain. So, like Boomer, Boomer is like the Mickey Mouse mushroom guy with this bite off his head. He's sort of inspired by the idea of like mushrooms, obviously, and how mushrooms sort of supposedly encourage the evolution of the brain of like early ape, like it's called the stoned ape theory, sort of like. And growing up Christian, you kind of, for me, I was just kind of told this is what happened, this is how everything started, and that's that. So I'm like, yeah, but what about this? What about that? So it's more like a question, like, this sort of inspired. So that's why that Boomer character has his arms out smiling, similar to like Mickey Mouse or Christ, arms out, So kind of saying like he's like the inspiration of like modern day like religion. The monk puppy was inspired by the trickster character, like Loki or the Raven or the Coyote. Because the trickster mythology isn't in any way Christian, and it's not immoral, it's amoral. It's like outside of morality. And in the Bible, it's like there's very little gray. There's right and wrong, and there's even a scripture, sadly I just forgot, about like, being lukewarm. Like you
don't be hot, don't be cold.
Like you're hot or cold.
Yeah.
You're not never. Like,
be hot or be cold. Don't be lukewarm.
I'm gonna spit you out. So, and I was like, and the trickster sort of like outside of that is sort of the guy that kind of breaks norms, or he sort of challenges established ideas. And so I kind of combined. And then this also stems from a Chihuahua that my stepmom has, and I believe that this Chihuahua is still alive. But I would come to my stepmom's house, and this Chihuahua, I remember it was Lola, would run up to me, start barking, and I'm like, "Hi, Lola," and I'll come down to pet her, and she'll run away. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with this dog? And then she'll come back to me, and then I'll start petting her, and she'll run away. And so this dog constantly challenged me. I'm like, what is wrong with this dog? Like, does she want me to pet her? Does she not want me to pet her? And it's sort of like this weird thing. And I'm like, there's something here. Like, I don't know. I'm studying this trickster character's mythology. This dog is this little critter that's challenging me all the time, barking at me, but wanting my attention, but running away. So I kind of created a character, and I was sort of also inspired by Buddhism, so that's why he's wearing like sort of a Buddhist garb, with the hands and all that, meditating. He's meditating, but his eyes are open, so he's doing the meditative pose, but he's not. He's sort of pretending he is. So he's it's called a therianthrope. It's very common in like Egyptian like hieroglyphs, or like like the body of a man but the head of another animal or something like that. So that's where like those sort of characters came from. And again, it's just a lot of reading, a lot of just inspiration. Like, hey, that's a cool idea. How do I paint something? Like, well, make a character. Like Bugs Bunny. It's like Bugs Bunny is a great example of like the trickster character. So I may go on and on about like different characters, but so you went from there, and then you started to evolve into what you're doing now, which is calligraphy, right?
And then, so the inspiration behind that was the curator. She challenged you, so you took on this new challenge.
Yeah, I got into the whole Prayer Beat series.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you got into the Prayer Beat series.
Yeah.
And then...
and that's just simply due to I'm just not going to use my projector anymore.
Yeah.
So I was forced to use more my hand.
And the Prayer Beats was just something you were thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell, obviously, like almost all of my work is about some root in religion of some sort.
And then from there, you got into this whole, what you're doing now, which is all your most recent work is almost a typography that you created yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have a name for it or.
It's called metaphrase.
Oh, metaphrase. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah. So what was the inspiration behind metaphrase then? How do you even come up with your own, like?
Yeah, so you're really confused, like what in the
alphabet,
world?
yeah.
Like who? Like, well, like I was saying before, like I did take a handful of like, even though I studied painting and drawing and all that, at Rutgers they really push you to do other things, get you outside your comfort zone. So I did do like typography and printmaking and all that, and we literally, would write like letters freehand, and it was I was really bad at it, actually. I was not good. I was very driven. Like I was like, I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
Because it was like not painting at all. It was very much like draftsman stuff. And I did like kind of collect different like pens and stuff while I was there. I was always kind of doodle with them and had fun. And I'll just sort of cut. And this is as an undergrad, I was just kind of play with them. I was just sort of I had no clue what I was doing. I don't have like professional like lessons in calligraphy. But I remember I was working at a charter school in Newark, and they just kind of work you to the bone. Like this is right after grad school, which was really difficult, and I just didn't have any time to like paint anymore. I just didn't have anything to do. But I was like, but I had these calligraphy pens. I'm gonna see what I could do with these things. So I just started copying just like fonts. I just started copying different calligraphy fonts, like cursive and different styles, just for fun in between my classes. And I'll say, Mr. Oquendo, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just sort of writing calligraphy. What's calligraphy? Like, I don't know, but I'll let you know. I just started having. To me, again, it's kind of all rooted to I'm just having fun. It's just I enjoyed this process. It didn't feel like work to me. I didn't even really like think about this can be something. Like I'm just doing this for fun. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. Just like I'm just gonna do this for fun, and I didn't think it was gonna be. And I don't have very good foresight, sadly.
Yeah.
So. And then some time passed by, and I was like, I really don't like copying other like styles. Like this is really boring. Like, and once I get bored, I'm like, I gotta change something. It's like, and I was talking to my friend Julio, and he's a blue belt that also trains with me, and I was like sitting in the car with him, and I was like, I have this idea, and he's like, what is it? And I'm like, I want to make my own alphabet. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I just think it's really cool just to make your own. Like, why not? Like, who says I have to, like, who says I can't do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, that is so arrogant of you. And I'm like, is it? He's like, yeah, but you should do that. Like, go do that. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, do that. And so he's like, I mean, as you can see, like, I kind of work off of other people challenging me. Saying, going back to the projector being like a hindrance, being called arrogant, but doing that. So, and I just said, hey, I'm just gonna make my own alphabet. And I obviously you can't start from like nothing. So this is a great book called Steal Like an Artist. Sadly, I forgot the name of the author, but
I'll post it in the link.
Yeah, Steal Like an Artist is really good. And it's not literally stealing, but it's acknowledging that your ideas come from other places and knowing how to use that appropriately, not just stealing. I'm gonna steal something, but like, which I kind of already did, or which I already sort of kind of did just naturally, like appropriating different imagery, combining it, making it your own. But now I was like, okay, well, I need a starting point somewhere. So I just took like the two not most, but people might argue against this, but very old, is this on?
No, that's fine.
Two very old like fonts or like ways of writing is like Hebrew and Arabic. And since I was already using Gothic black letter, because it's a very just powerful font, and also Gothic black letter is used in like diplomas.
It is,
Yeah, right there.
You're right.
That's Gothic black letter. is used in like, passports. It's used in
I didn't even
green
realize that.
Yeah, it's
used in a lot of different
like
things.
important like documents. Like look at this important thing. It's like very decorative. I was like, this is also a font that seems very just noble, I guess you can say, or regal. So I kind of just like got these three ingredients and kind of put it together, just smashed it together, and then every year it changes. So I mean, I started there, and some people say, but I don't see the Hebrew. I don't see the. Well, that's where it started. That's where like that was like I literally got parts and put it together, and then little by little started like kind of gaining traction, and people started like reacting to it, and I'm like, okay, I guess there's something here, like that's cool. And people say, hey, can you paint that on my wall? Like, you paint murals? I'm like, yeah. But I'm thinking like, oh no, like, can I paint that on a wall? Like, this is different because it's like, because I'm writing.
I have no projector.
I have no projector. So, and I'm writing it small. So I'm like, so that was like a challenge, and I do everything freehand. So sadly, unless I don't use a projector one time for the Metaphrase series, and that was actually in Orlando, where like I projected the letters really, really big. So we actually use
like a paint roller.
Rollers. Yeah, I showed you a video before. We use the rollers. But other than that, it's for the most part almost always like 99% like always freehand. So no two murals are exactly the same. Even if I write the same thing, they're never the same. Because I make mistakes, and that's fine, and you can't really tell. If I make a mistake, you can't really tell I make a mistake, because I'm not saying I'm making it up as I go, but I give myself some leeway. Like I'm flexible with myself, or forgiving of myself. And it's a balance between just legibility and beauty. It's like I want it to be beautiful and decorative, but also want it to be kind of legible. But not immediately legible, because you can just read it easily. So, but if I say, hey, this is where I go to the titles of each piece. The title of the piece is literally what the piece says. So as anyone ever asks, hey, what does this say? It's there, like the title. This is the title.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, that's a T then. Oh, that's an H. That's an E. Oh, that's a the. Okay, and they can actually read it. Yeah. But once you kind of identify each symbol, it's actually not that difficult to read. Yeah.
So after, you've done all these different pieces of work, like you were saying, it was getting traction. People were starting to see it. I know you did a piece for JT Torres, who's, world champion, BJJ. You train there quite often as well.
Not often.
Or not often, but yeah, you go down there and,
randomly I'll visit.
Yeah. But you did his, he opened a gym in, where was it?
Upstate New York. I forgot the exact town.
Yeah, but you did the whole hall pretty much.
The entrance, meanwhile.
The entrance, yeah. And then you also did something for that bodybuilder.
Yeah, the hoodie. And we might do more hoodies in the future.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I actually would like one. And then you also had or Swiss Beats found one of your artworks and took a picture with it.
Yeah, he did a few Instagram pictures.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the calligraphy series. That was that was in the Metaphrase series. That was like the prayer beads. Oh yeah. But it can easily look like calligraphy. But I did a piece at the Art Factory in Patterson, in New Jersey, and there's a colleague of mine. It was Matt Gosser. He kind of runs it, and he's like, "Hey, there's a wall here. You want to paint it?" I'm like, "Cool, I'll do it." Like just for fun. Like he didn't pay me, pocket. It's like I just did it for fun. Pretty big, maybe like a 15 by 15, maybe 20 by 20 foot, maybe or so. And like a week or two later, like my friend Belmira, she I think it was her or somebody else. Someone told me like, "Yo, Swiss Beats is posting your work on his Instagram." I'm like, "What? That's crazy." And then, but I mean, not the problem, but the bummer of it, like, he didn't, like, give me credit, which bothered me a little bit. And that's why I sent them a message, like, hey, dude, like, I love your music, I love everything, but, like, that picture that you just posted, that's my artwork. And then he didn't even, I mean, I guess he didn't, like, directly apologize, he just, like, tagged me. And I think he did 2 or 3 different, but it was kind of odd. I think this is one of your questions, but it was kind of odd, like, going from something that I just did for fun, like, I don't know what this is gonna happen. I wasn't thinking, like, hey, this is gonna be a lot of Instagram followers, or hey, like, like, I wasn't thinking like a businessman. I was just thinking I'm just doing something for fun. And then, like, overnight, I got I went from like 300 followers, and then I got like 1,000, like, in, like I got like an extra 1,000, like, within like 48 hours. I'm like,
you're not even a pretty girl.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers till this day, but I mean, Instagram is, I think too many people use Instagram followers as a gauge of success, but it's not always, you can easily just buy followers. I just thought that was so crazy that I was like, man, he just did this piece and then boom, here it is, and now you're doing some pieces and starting to, get discovered more. I guess, I mean, how was that feeling? It's like, whoa, when JT asked you to do, his gym, like. Actually, it was the other way around. Oh, okay. Yeah, like, to be honest, I trained with him back in, like, 2007. When I first started, I was, like, 21 or so. He was, like, 17, maybe 16. I don't even know, but which is this, and we're about the same size at the time. He's a little bit bigger than me now. He just grew up. He's way bigger than me now. But at the time, we were probably the same size. And his dad was really cool, and he's like, "Hey, train with my son." I'm like, "Okay, like, all right, kid." And let's train. And he was really good, and like, he was good back then. But I can kind of sort of last. I was able to hold my own a little bit because of wrestling. I mean, wrestling in high school and all that. Now he just destroys me. It's like, it's like crazy how good he is. But yeah, I trained with him for a few years. Performance jiu-jitsu, and then he graduated high school. He moved, he did his thing. He wanted to compete, be a world champion. He did it, Abu Dhabi champ, all that. Yep. Well, he became Abu Dhabi champ after he opened his school, but or while he did it, which is crazy. But he eventually ended up in California. He was doing his thing. We kind of kept in touch here, when he would win a tournament, I'd say, "Hey, congrats." He just, like, "Thanks, man, love your work." And he always liked my artwork. But when he came back, I knew he was opening up a school, and I just said, "Hey, dude, like, you like my artwork? Can I just paint something? Like, do you want me to paint one of your walls to decorate it?" I don't know. Like, again, they didn't really necessarily come from financial gain, because, to be dead honest, I didn't ask for money. I was like, I think you're cool. You're like, you're awesome. Just awesome jiu-jitsu competitor. You're Puerto Rican like me. You're just awesome. Like, when I support each other, And he's like, and he's a really likable guy. I encourage everyone to go there. He's like a really great coach. It's called Essential Jiu-Jitsu. And I said, "Hey, I want to paint." We and I went into the actual school before I even opened. It was just like this. There's nothing. Yeah. And we decided on the hallway, the entrance. And I did it for fun. Took me like 2 hours to do the whole thing. That's crazy, because it's like a lot of work. It was maybe like, I can't, maybe 40 feet. It was like up I couldn't believe that it only took you 2 hours. They went to lunch. He came back. And they're like, "Okay, we'll be back." And then 2 hours later, 2.5 hours later, they came back. They're like, "I'm done." Like, "You're done?" Like, "Yeah, there it is." And they're like, "Wow." And I'm like, "Do you want me to add anything?" And like, "No." And it was like a Miyamoto Musashi quote. A bunch of just Miyamoto Musashi books of... The Five Rings. Five Rings, yeah. Let's see, 3 books of 5 Rings. A bunch of random quotes of his. Oh, okay. That's really cool. Yeah, and then So, and going back to just kind of like, I've noticed when I just do things out of love, like out of just like, I just enjoy this is fun, it kind of goes full circle. It kind of comes back.
That's typically how things happen, right? You do something for fun.
And I guarantee, maybe this is why our teacher company didn't work so well. But, and I notice anytime I think about making money, it almost always just falls short. And it's not bad, but it becomes like robotic or static. Like this weird, like you're forcing a creative process, and it's just weird. I mean, I do think about money and budgeting and okay, well, if I gotta make a mural, this is how much it's gonna cost, and there are logistical things, obviously. But I never really get it into a project thinking I can make money doing this. If it happens, great. If it gets some notoriety or some acknowledgement or something, great. But I just notice anytime I do anything out of some sort of like financial gain, it's not bad to want money. I'm not saying don't want money, don't want, like, it's great, but when it's like that, when that's your motivation, that it kind of gets kind of clunky. It can even be like a negative experience, or it can be kind of a toxic experience, if you can say. I don't like using the word toxic, but it can be kind of just
I understand.
Weird.
Like the drive.
It's like this is work.
This
is like this is gonna cost so much money, and but I just, hey JT, just buy the paint and I'll paint it. Great. And now I don't train a lot there because it's a tough school. But whenever I can, I'll visit. You know, whenever I have the time, because I'm a busy guy. He's a busy guy too. But
that's awesome. So where's your end game with your art? Like, where do you want to go with it? Are you just gonna keep evolving as an artist and continue to do your work? Like, is your hope to become discovered by, some rapper or some rich person? Like, what are, like, I guess as an artist, like how do you gauge your success? Like, how do you gauge whether, there's one way where I guess you get discovered by the public and it's like, okay, well, now I'm making tons of money, but like internally, I think, there's like always that internal thing, right? Whenever we're pursuing something that we love, that it's beyond money or how many people recognize you or whatever. It's like this internal goal, like, I accomplished this and that's all I wanted to get done, right? I guess, like, is there a goal like that in terms of art for yourself?
There was, actually. Sounds like odd if I said there was, but I'll now connect jiu-jitsu, because this is a jiu-jitsu conversation. I just got my black belt maybe about a month ago, after it's almost 12 years.
Wow.
I'm rounding up, so like 11 and some months, but round up 12 years. And I remember this sense of like relief when I got it. Like, I got promoted, cried a little bit. Like, it's kind of emotional. It's like, but I remember this sort of sense of like this weight off my shoulders. Because then I was like, oh wow, this sense of I'm capable. This sort of sense of I know what I'm doing. All I gotta do, just do it, right? So I think that's one thing, at least for me as a black belt. I'm not saying you get complacent, but you realize, like, all this time where I was thinking, like, am I doing it right? Is this really jiu-jitsu, or am I just like gooning, or am I just like muscling everything? And sort of like when you're an instructor, they've been known for years, says, listen, you're a black belt. I acknowledge you as a black belt. It's like, I can have fun now. Now I can just have fun. Now I'm not thinking about getting promoted or beating that other guy or this guy, or not getting tapped by that guy, or this big dude that's bigger than me. Like, oh no, like, it's more just, I'm having fun now. Yeah. And I can teach. People have been I mean, I've been teaching private lessons for like years now, since I was like a purple belt. But, you know, even teaching more often, you know, sharing jiu-jitsu more often, or really, I actually set aside time to help the not younger, but the newer guys, as opposed to before, I was just like, yo, forget those guys. I'm training for me.
It's all about me.
And I see this, you know, I'll just see this, you know, big blue belt or white belt, like I'm gonna destroy that guy, you know. But now I'm more like, I just want to have fun, and I've been just in a month just having fun. As actually, I mean, I'm challenging myself. Obviously, I'm not challenging myself, but the fun part is sort of like I'm training differently. Yeah, I don't have that monkey on my shoulder like this guy watching me. Am I doing it right? I mean, Lewis still corrects me if I mess up. He's like, "Hey, you're doing it wrong." Well, it's fine. I'm not, but I'm not. I don't hold on to that. I'm like, oh, like I did it wrong. But to answer your question about art, my goal as in academia was to get my master's degree, and in studio art, that's a terminal degree. Like there's nothing else after that. That's as far as you go in academia. And so similarly, it was the same kind of sensation. Like getting my black belt was, even though this was like back in 2012, like it was the same kind of sensation. This sort of relief, like at least according to, you know, the powers that be, you know, they're saying you're capable of being an artist. You spent years, you know, perfecting your craft. Now go do it. So to answer your question, my goal was to get my master's degree. Now, after 7 years out, I'm just kind of just having fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do have like goals, like, hey, I would like to show at a museum. I'd like to show at a particular gallery that I won't name, but there's a particular gallery I have my eyes on in Chelsea, New York. You know, I have goals like I want to show in LA, I want to show in Florida, I want to show in New York, I want to, so I have these little goals like, locations I want to show at. But I don't necessarily have this sense like, hey, am I successful? Like,
yeah, you got your black belt, like you got your NFA, yeah.
So it's like I feel like I already am successful. Now it's just kind of having fun with that sort of success and whatever financial gain or notoriety or I don't like saying the word celebrity. I don't want that at all. But any sort of acknowledgement of that, that's great. It's even this icing on the cake. As long as I can kind of like break even at least when it comes to financially, or in just do what I want to do is great. Like it's sort of, so it's kind of like it's I don't know if I answer your question, but
no, I think it's very interesting to think about, like, at the end of the day, like what the heck is success, right?
Yeah, like
there's like external success, which you're trying to show people, whatever, but I always believe that there's this internal success that only like when we achieve it ourselves, and it's something that we've internally have accomplished, only then can you truly like feel at ease or at peace or in a sense. You know what I mean? Like you said, like there's this monkey on your back that says you need to finish this, right? And you need to get this done. And I mean, even with this podcast or this video, these video series that I've been doing for the longest time, like, oh, I know I have to do it. Like this has to be done, not because of I could care less about if I become like a big person or whatever, right? But I know that there has to be people out there that were struggling like I was, and the whole premise was to, I got a lot of advice. I got tons and tons of people that helped me along my path, that got me out of those dark times, And for me, this was a project where I'm like, the wisdom that I received from these, different people, why not have them share it, with the rest of the world? Because there has to be somebody out there that was struggling in my shoes, you know.
Yeah.
Because nobody's perfect. The day-to-day people, you know, the people that aren't the 1% of the 1%, like, you know, we go through the grind every day,
right?
You know, and some people, they don't know how to get out of a funk or whatever,
right?
So it's like, hey, this is how I did it, and this is the person that helped me to get out of it, right. You know. So that was the monkey on the back. Was like, hey, you got to get this project done, right?
Mm-hmm. Which can be a positive thing.
Yeah. Very positive.
If it drives you, hold you down. It's great.
It's this annoying thing that's just like, you know, you gotta get it done. And
if I didn't have that monkey on my back, I wouldn't have became a black belt.
Yeah, exactly. And then same thing with this. It's just like, I finally got the rhythm, you know, and I'm finally getting you are episode number 8, and you know, my goal is to get 13 episodes in, and then, you know, release it, and whatever happens with it happens. But I will, you know, that internal like goal has been satiated, you know.
Right.
I've done it. And the monkey,
and you're doing it.
Yeah. And the monkey is now off my back. Whatever happens after that, you know, whatever. I could care less.
You put it on the universe. Whatever.
Yeah. So the whether I obtain anything from it or obtain nothing, it doesn't matter at all. But knowing that internally I actually said that I was going to do this and I did it is like, okay.
Yeah, you had a thought, it became a thing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
That's the reward in and of itself.
Yep. And then from there, you could probably accomplish even more, you know, because you did one thing and now you're able to do even more. So
I did want to speak about, I think you mentioned depression or some emotional turmoil. Like, I actually didn't talk about how I got into jiu-jitsu.
How did you get into it? Oh wait, actually, we're gonna get into that.
All right.
So
okay.
All right. So before we get into that aspect, the last question for Art is: what advice do you have for the younger generation that are trying to get discovered or trying to, make art?
Be creative.
Be a creative. Yeah.
Be creative.
What advice do you have for them?
My advice is you have to put in the time. Mm-hmm. You just have to. I have a good amount of students that I've taught for 6-7 years now in art, and I have a lot of students that are very skilled and very talented, but they just think that's gonna get them by. And it's not. Like, you can it's just your skill and talent goes so far. It gets you in the game, but it doesn't get you. That's it.
Doesn't get the touchdown.
You're not. Yeah, you're gonna get in the game, but you're not gonna do very well. Like, you have to put in the time. You have to put in that, mat time. You have to grind. Mm-hmm. And art is not. I mean, if you want to be like an artist or an artiste, like in the actual, like, you show art in galleries and all that, and commissions and murals and all that, you have to network with people.
Yeah. The
whole idea of like the whole recluse artist that's in this corner and thing is like, that's like you're romanticizing it. Like, artists don't just drink wine and eat cheese and like, don't. Like, I only look like presentable like once or twice a year when I have an art show and I actually try to wear something nice. But for the most part, I'm grinding and like... Yeah,
you're always covered in paint. Yeah, you always got your jeans ripped up and...
Yeah, my fingers have paint. Them, like, I have disgusting hands just because of jiu-jitsu and painting. But it's like, you have to put in the time, the studio time. You got to put in those hours, have goals. Like, I'm going to do a painting a week or a painting a month, or I'm going to do 10 drawings a day, or you have to put in the studio time. And also, you have to put in the networking time. I hate using the word networking, but it is like, you're not in a vacuum. Like, use social media as a tool. So social media is like fire. You can either like warm your house with it, or you can burn it down. Might as well use it, right?
Yeah.
So to like not post dumb things and look like a complete fool using social media. Use it to promote yourself. Like, you know, people want to like use Facebook or Snapchat and whatnot as opposed to just posting a selfie of yourself. And I'm sure if you're an attractive individual, you get a lot of followers, but like show substance, like, you know, and go to galleries, show your face. Emos are great, but people can easily ignore emos. But once you get face to face with somebody and say, hey, Dave Oquendo, you know, I'm interested in showing art here. They may deny you. It's tough, but you're present there.
Yeah.
Same with jobs. I remember every single job I've gotten, or not every, but half the jobs I've gotten were either through network, where someone vouched for me, said, hey, this guy's awesome, hire him. Or I walked in and I got one of my jobs at College of St. Elizabeth this way, where I was showing art in one of their group shows. And I told the head of the department, and I said, I want to work here. And she's like, okay. And she hired me. As opposed to, hey, I'm looking for a job. Are you guys hiring? One's an assertive stance. One's a passive stance. One's like, help me. I want food. Or like, no, like, I'm hungry. Give me some food right now. So I remember anytime I kind of say, hey, I want to work here. I want to work at your institution. I want to show artwork in your gallery. Not, hey, are you looking for artists? Like, of course we're looking for artists at the gallery. Like, of course they are. But it's sort of kind of how you establish yourself, how you sort of present yourself. Not like you're overly aggressive and like, not that, but you're kind of presenting yourself in a confident manner. And, you know, not literally with their head up high and shoulders back, but like in attitude. Like you have to you have to be, I mean, if you notice a lot of lack of a better word, successful like musicians are very just like, I'm awesome, look at me. And it's obnoxious, but there's something there.
Yeah. There's a reason why everybody knows that. There's a reason
why they're like famous. I'm not saying I'm an artist to become famous, but like they're in the, you know, in the
like people know them.
They you know, they're seen as quote unquote successful. Yeah. Right. And they're very boastful. They're very just like, look at me, I'm awesome. And they're like, I guess you are awesome. Look how awesome you are. You know what I mean?
Follow.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? So it's you have to, sometimes you have to say, I am an artist. Sometimes you can't wait for someone to tell you that. You just know that you are. Wow. But yeah, so yeah, you have, I don't know if I kind of went off, but you got to put in the time. You got to put in the time. You got to network. You got to grind. And
then once you get there, then assert yourself.
Yeah. Then once you sort of build your resume with just, and be an assistant, you know, ask someone, hey, I want to be your assistant. I want you to mentor me. Like, like it's all, and don't burn your bridges. At least not in your side. And the jiu-jitsu world, it's very big, but it's very small.
Yeah, it's very big.
It's like when you first get into it, it's like, this is huge. Look at all these people. Like, oh my gosh. But then when you start talking to people, it's like, hey, I know them. I know them and I know them. Like, remember when we saw Lovato Jr.? Oh, yeah. He walked in like, yo, who's that guy?
Yeah, that was a crazy story.
And then, like, you know, like, what, 8 years later, he's the crazy strike for his fire. And I shook that guy's hand like...
Bellator.
Yeah, I shook that guy's hand like 10 years ago. I was like, dude, you're awesome. You know? What's
crazy, so at the Beast of the East 5, like...
Which you competed.
Which I competed. Yeah, that was the first competition where I thought jiu-jitsu was stupid. Rafael Lovato Jr. walked through the door. I had no idea who anybody was, either. Whatever. I didn't know much about, you know, that world back in that time, but he walked in, he had this hoodie on, and I don't know what it was. I saw this aura, like this thing around him,
He's
and I was
like
like,
a samurai. I was like,
yeah,
who's that guy?
I was like, this guy's gonna beat everybody. He could beat anybody in here.
Yeah.
And he did a super fight. It was like a 4-man tournament.
Yeah.
And he destroyed everyone.
Yeah.
It was a super fight.
He did. There's 4 guys. He beat both the guys.
Yeah, yeah. And it was like a super fight. Actually, the whole tournament had to stop.
Yeah,
just to watch their match. So that was when I discovered Raphael, and I was like, this guy is gonna be. I mean, he's probably like the best guy in here and could beat everybody.
He's probably the best. I think arguably he's probably the best American jiu-jitsu practitioner today.
Yeah. And then now 8 years later, I'm seeing him, compete all over, and I'm like, I saw him back. I saw him face to face, and it was so incredible.
But going back to like asserting yourself, like he didn't verbally say anything.
No, he just had.
He just kind of walked in, and everyone just like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah, he just had this aura.
He just walked in and was like, "I can beat every one of you in here."
Yeah.
And he didn't say that, but
you could tell by his confidence.
Yeah, he just walked in.
His determination.
He had his hoodie on. He minded his own business.
Yep.
And then he had I think he ate like a protein bar or something. And like, I don't know.
He was like ready to go and just kill everybody.
I mean, everyone knew who. I guess I didn't even know who he was either. But going back to just that, it's like you need that. Like not need it, but it's very.
It separates you.
It helps you.
Yeah, it separates you from the rest.
Yeah.
It's the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's now dive into your martial arts background. So you were talking about before, like you didn't get a chance to talk about it. How did you begin on that journey? I know you said you started with wrestling and you got into BJJ, and then I don't know if you did. I know you also did a little bit of Muay Thai.
For about 2 years.
You under Augie. Augie actually did a T-shirt for him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
And he's got a fighter, that girl who's like killing it. She just got signed, right, to that pro MMA thing.
Think Invicta.
I forget was it Invicta?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's killing it. She's beating the crap out of everybody.
Sadly, I forgot her name. I met her once. Really nice girl.
Yeah, she's beating
really
the
young,
mess
really
out
nice.
of everybody. But so
she won the Eddie Bravo.
Yes, she won EBI.
EBI.
I forget which one.
Dang it,
there's like one of the most recent ones, I think. But yeah, she's going on a tear right now, just killing it.
Yeah, I forgot her name. Dang it.
Yeah, but I'll probably post it or whatever. But was there anything else you did prior to that? Did you grow up doing anything else? And then how did you get into?
Well, growing up, again, youngest of 3. I have an older brother and older sister. And my brother is actually, and my sister, are pretty close to me, like in age. My brother's only 13 months older than me.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like 20 years older.
Yeah, he looks significantly older.
He has this like demeanor.
Well, we have different, this is a side note, we have very different like professions. I'm a teacher and artist, and
he's a cop
he's
and a military
cop. as a civilian cop, he's also a cop in the military.
Yeah.
As both very stressful jobs. So.
Yeah, he's a very like serious dude.
Yeah, so it's it's a tough job. So it's stressful. So that can age you. So that can definitely age you a few years. Even though we're 13 months apart.
I can't believe that. 13.
When we're next to each other, you're like, you look 25 and you look 35. And we're like, nope, 32, 33. But yeah, we're really close in age as well as my sister and my mom. Anytime my brother did a sport, I did the same sport.
Okay.
So if you did basketball, I did basketball too. You did football too. It's
did you play basketball and football?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wasn't good at all. I was terrible. Oh, terrible. Any it sounds weird. Any
team sport
with balls, like, I'm not great at all. It's like just chuck like actually that's not true. The one sport I was actually pretty good at was baseball. I was pretty good at baseball. That was pretty good.
You got the Latin genes.
Yeah, Puerto Rican genes. But yeah, I played baseball at a very young age. Actually, when I didn't play baseball in high school, my family was like, "What? You're not playing baseball?" Like, nah, wrestling.
So you could have been like you could have made it to the MLB.
Yeah.
But maybe your brother was supposed to be really good, right?
He was really good at baseball. He was really good at baseball.
He was like really good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But It's what?
Eggs in a different basket.
Yeah, but we had a friend in church and that wrestled. His name was Hosnick Martinez, I believe his last name was. And he wrestled, and my brother was friends with him. And sophomore year sophomore year in high school, when I was a freshman, he's like, I'm gonna wrestle. I'm like, okay, I'm wrestling too. It was kind of like he just said we're gonna wrestle. Like, okay, I guess we're wrestling, and I immediately loved it. It was like, oh, it's me. It's like they just tossed me in the deep end. It's like, okay, just jump in. And I noticed very early on what helped me get stay in wrestling was me being, I mean, you gotta remember, I was like 115, 19 pounds.
Yeah.
I was not a big person. I'm still not a big person. So, and I'm like, wow, wrestling, I'm not, I'm thinking Hulk Hogan and like these big, the guys. I didn't know what wrestling really was. And I'm wearing like, a singlet. I'm like, what?
I remember when I did wrestling in my freshman year, my mom was like, are you crazy? Yeah. You're going to be hitting each other with chairs and jumping on. I was like, no.
Yeah, it's weird. But I got into it and I fell in love with wrestling really early on. But what kept me in it was the fact that I would see these like really athletic guys that just looked like I don't know, like
superhuman.
Like I don't know, like these like seeing a 17-year-old kid that's 200 pounds, solid muscle, just vomiting in the corner. He's quitting. He's like, oh, like they just seeing the kid walk out, and I'm like, and I just keep going. I'm like, okay, and I'm like, I'm tougher than these guys. Like these guys are wimps. Like, and I'm so I'm just like, this is a fact that wait, I'm tougher than I think. I'm thinking I'm just some little wimp because I'm not big and huge, or I don't have this sort of presence.
It's the iron will,
and it kind of kept me there. I just kept on doing it. I look over, my brother's still there. I guess I'm still doing it, and so he did it for 3 years. I did it for 4. I tried to do club wrestling in college. That kind of fell short, but I wasn't the best wrestler. I just lasted longer. I don't know. I wasn't the best, but there's guys that are way more talented than me, like region champs, and I just, I wouldn't leave. I wouldn't quit. So it was kind of annoying for other guys, I suppose. It was a great experience, great team experience, but it helped me realize that teams are great and being a team player is awesome. However, like, I guess in life, it's like, it's you. If you don't get things done, nothing's going to happen. Yep. Like, it's just not going to get done. You can't. And if you fail, like in wrestling, you're in the middle, guys across you, there's referee. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. Yep. Like, it's
nobody's fault but your own.
You can't be like, but so-and-so didn't catch the ball. Like, no, like, there's no ball here. It's like, this guy beat you, or you beat him. And also sportsmanship. It's like, when you're in the middle of that mat and you have poor sportsmanship, it's like, people see it. Like, you're right there, spotlight's on you. So you learn to check yourself. It's like, you learn to, I'm not saying be fake, but you learn to be like,
control your emotions.
Yeah, right? Like, you keep yourself in check. So
there's so many benefits to wrestling outside of just physical.
Yeah, so it was this sort of thing of like, oh wow, like sort of this weird life lesson, like, and the whole idea about like hell in the training room, heaven on the mat is real. Like, if you don't put in that time outside the wrestling room, running, dieting, all that, you're gonna embarrass yourself. Like, you really are. Like, you're wearing these tights with this thing on your head. Like, you're gonna embarrass yourself. So you better put in that time. And it's true. If you when you put in that time off the mat and anything, like, when it's time to show up, it's like awesome. It's like the best thing ever. Like, same thing with art. The reason why I can paint so easily is because I'm practicing writing all the time, right? Like, so you gotta put in, so all this kind of connects. But then moving on to like jiu-jitsu, so wrestling was sort of this great thing to keep me like in check. Like all my aggression, you know, I was a Christian at the time. All my emotions were like in wrestling. Like I put all my energy into it. So when I got home, like I was just too tired to be upset about anything. You're just dead tired. It just nothing bothers you. You're just like, oh, someone says that, I don't care. Like, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna eat a salad now. All right. And then so having that very regimented like life for like 4 years in high school it kept me straight and narrow, you know, especially as a Christian at the time. But when I got into college, I tried wrestling. It kind of didn't really work out. Just this in and out. I was like, I wanted to be an artist, and I'm like, I'm an artist, and it's like, but I want to wrestle, but like I don't aspire to be anything. But so I stopped wrestling, and then college is tough because then, you know, when you're in high school, like I was told, you're the best artist ever, you're the best, here's all these awards. And now you're in college and everyone in your major is good. Like it's not, you're not the best anymore. You're just another artist, another aspiring kid. And they, you know, like a great example is Whiplash, this movie called Whiplash, about a drummer. And and it's like, that was for me like college, and specifically my mentor who I love, she's awesome. Sadly, she's passed away, but she was like that to me. Like, what are your 30 drawings? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like tough. It was emotionally draining, and I actually fell into like severe depression. And I'm like, I want to be an artist, and like I'm 21, like 20 years old. I have nothing, and I didn't work out at the time. I didn't have any sort of physical like outlet. All my emotions are like on the canvas, which look like crap. So like I'm like and then I just fell into this crazy depression, and luckily I lucked out. Like I didn't fall into any sort of substance abuse. But I would be lying to you if I didn't try to take my life at least once or twice. And that's a legit thing. I'm lucky to be alive because I was...
Actually, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
And, you know, probably the only... I'll try to say this without crying. But probably the only thing I'm happy I failed at.
Yeah.
You know, probably the only thing I'm happy I failed at was not killing myself.
Yeah.
Or attempting and failing.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I was, you know, it was just a regular. Actually, I remember it. It was July 1st, 2007.
Wow. Yeah, I've known you for a long time.
It was July 1st, 2007 was the day I actually attempted suicide.
Yeah.
And my mom and my sister were actually in Puerto Rico. And my brother was like at work or something, and I just decided, and you know this, that I was not doing well at all in my faith and as a Christian in God, really like struggling. I was like, everything was just like, everything was falling apart. Like, I want to be an artist, but I'm failing at it. Like I'm an athlete, but I'm not doing anything with it. Like, what's going on? Yeah, and sadly, I mean, in retrospect, I can kind of like smile about it and make light, but I mean, it is a serious thing. But then I just went to the cabinet and I just grabbed a bottle of like pills and just swallowed them.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. Luckily I was not able to keep them down. I eventually vomited it up, and I was like, "What did I do? Like, what am I doing?" And I'm not the person that takes, like, I don't really take drugs. Like, I don't, like, when I have a headache, I'm not taking anything. I just drink water. Like, I'm fine. And that was a really surreal experience. And then at the end of the night, I kind of passed out in my bedroom and naked and sweating. And I don't know, it was not a good scene. Yeah. And my brother came and was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I think so. I'll be fine." And then he's like, "Okay." And then the next day he's like, "I'm going to compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament. I want you to help me train." And I don't know if he did it on purpose. I don't know if he meant to like help me. I don't really know. I never asked him. He just said, "I'm going to compete in a jiu-jitsu tournament." I'm like, "What's jiu-jitsu?" He's like, "It's like wrestling." I want you to help me train. I'm like, okay.
So your brother started before you did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My brother started. A lot of my like sports things are through my brother. Like I think he knows this, but I just kind of did what he did. That's that.
I wish my brother did it.
I mean, and I'm not in any way bad mouthing my father, but he didn't really,
Yeah, he was.
I'm not saying my brother was my father, but I'm like, he was the closest thing to a male figure, even though we were only a year apart. It's like, well, if he does it, I'm doing it too, So we trained a little bit in the basement in a mat that we had. Didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of wrestling him, and he's doing these, like, he's pulling guard and choking me out. I have no clue what's going on. So after like a week of doing that, he goes to, I think, it was a Grappler's Quest. It was a very small division for him. I think he like had 2 matches and he won and he got a medal. But he's like, But my brother was like, he didn't really care about medals. He's like, whatever. Like, to him, it's more just like competing and getting that challenge. And then I see this like 5'6", 5'7", like guy with just hair, just like curly hair like me. I'm like, who's this guy? Like, very intimidating guy, but people are like turning their heads and they're pointing at him. Not the same reaction like Lovato Jr., like where everyone just saw him.
Like, whoa.
And I found out it was Marcelo Garcia.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I'm like,
that's crazy.
Who's Marcelo Garcia? I had no I'm thinking, for me, I come from wrestling, so I'm thinking Dan Gable and
the greats,
like those guys. Like, to me, those are the guys I look at that I grew up admiring. Cale Sanderson and all them guys. So. I was like, all right, who's this Marcelo Garcia guy? He's like, Marcelo Garcia, he was super fight. Again, they
cleared everything
out. And they did a super fight, and he beat like 3 guys. And one of them was Gregor Gracie. I remember specifically. I'm like, Gregor Gracie? Isn't that like
what we were training?
Gracie family? Like, isn't that, So, I mean, Gregor Gracie is so legit. And I'm like, this 5'6" guy who isn't very big, and in wrestling there's like weight classes and all that.
This was like absolute.
No, he's like obviously the smallest guy, and he's destroying everyone. And I was like, I gotta learn this. Like, this is amazing. Like, this small guy just taking this guy's back and just choking them out. And I'm like, I gotta learn this. I know some people have their stories about, I saw UFC 1 and I saw. I don't have, like, to me, like, I mean. When that happened, I was like 6, So from my experience with jiu-jitsu is seeing Marcelo Garcia chop 3 huge dudes out, and they're athletic. They're like, pretty athletic dudes. And then, and this is literally like a week after I attempted suicide. And then a month later, I just through like the internet, I just kind of discovered the nearest jiu-jitsu school.
Oh, your brother wasn't training?
No, my brother wasn't. He was training like on the base. He would train like in the military base.
Oh, okay. They would just mess around.
Yeah, there was like a club there. He would train there. He still kind of does that as well. The only issue is that there's like no rank system, so he's still so he's still like a white belt. Like,
but he's probably like a blue.
He's pretty good. Yeah, like he's not like black belt, but he's not like, even though he wears a white belt. He's a sandbagger. Like people say, I don't care about getting promoted, I just train. Like, he really doesn't care about belts. He can if you just not give him a belt, he's fine with it. Which is great. I think it's noble. Like, he really, I mean, not that he doesn't respect belts. It's just to him that's not his.
Yeah, he's just there for the art.
That's not his gauge.
Wants to train.
That's not his gauge on his success. But then I discovered, just through the internet, performance jiu-jitsu in Fairlawn, and that was August of 2007.
Wow.
So
I started in 2010.
Yeah, and then I mean, of course, I did talk to a few elders in the church, about my issues, and one great guy, his name is Roy Tolliver, who I owe my life to. He took me to, or guided me to the therapist, and she's like awesome, and I know her since then, and once in a while I visit her. It's like, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Like she's like, you've gone through a lot in the past 10 years. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm I would say this: depression doesn't just go away. You just learn how to nip it in the bud when it creeps up.
Yeah, techniques. You have techniques.
Yeah, you just kind of figure out different techniques. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing this kind of creeping up now. All right, acknowledge it. Why is that happening? All right, who do you talk? It's like, as opposed to like, oh no, what's happening? You learn how to sort of like talk about it and or know how to cope with it.
Yeah.
And anxiety, and like for me, it's like health anxiety. Like those are legit things. But then I think I lost my train of thought.
So you were talking about.
Oh yeah, so with my in my faith, so Ray Tolliver's introduced me to a therapist, and she also like encouraged me to be more active and all that. So my point is like, it's okay, like you like to get help. Like it's not in any way cowardly or in any way like look for, especially being men, like like I'm strong enough, I can do this myself. Have to be like a certain type. Like no, like getting help is great. Like it's a very like it's okay to say I can't do this myself. Like I need help. Like I'm not strong enough.
Yeah, I
need support, and it's a very, and sadly a lot of guys, men. I mean, I hate to generalize men, but we're kind of raised to not
deal with that side.
Do that. We're raised to kind of say, man up, toughen up, it down. Do it. Like, do it yourself. Like, no, you don't have to do it yourself. You can ask for help. It's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty incredible story. I mean, I had a, similar thing. I was going through a lot of crazy stuff when I started jiu-jitsu as well. And, I think for both of us, it's helped us a lot, right? Through life, through gaining confidence, through dealing with the dark side. I mean, you see stories every now and then floating around where it's like, people committing suicide that are pretty like prominent in the jiu-jitsu community. It's like, why would they do that? But I think it goes back to your point, right? Jiu-jitsu handles one part, right? But there's physical. That physical aspect where you need to get this aggression out, right? But then there's also the mental aspect where you really need to learn techniques to deal with these. It's just like the devil on the shoulder just eating away at your thoughts and telling you, oh yeah, you're not worth it, or you're garbage, or all these things. And it's so crazy that I went to see a counselor and things like that too during that time, and prepared me to help me to start to transform my mind, because I had such a low view of myself. But when it first when I first dealt with it, it's like every day you deal with it. And then once you learn these techniques, it's like, then you deal with it like maybe 5 out of the 7 days a week. And then once you gain even more confidence, then it's like 3 out of the 7, Right. And I got to a point where now, for me, I can't even remember the last time I really struggled with it. Maybe it happens like once every 6 months or something like that. You find a groove where you're just like, dang man, I have a lot to offer. And you find your worth. And
right. It's a good word.
You find your worth, and I think once you find your worth, that type of thinking starts to slide away. And I think. Obviously there's different levels of depression. There's like chronic depression or clinical depression where, you're not, you just definitely have an imbalance in your brain. Yeah.
And that's something else, which I'm not saying I'm not a doctor, so I can't say toughen up. That's completely different. And I know I don't have that.
Yeah. I think mine was caused by an event, as was yours.
Yeah.
I'm sure our dopamine and all those different levels were probably really low when we went through those things, but they weren't like from our childbirth, you know. So so when we talk about it, I think we're talking about it more like circumstantial depression, which you can be diagnosed in a moment, as clinical depression. But I think it's different when it's brought on by an event. I think you can do a lot to really fight through it. And I think you have two examples here. For people that have basically grown up with it, that I'm not too sure if you can get to this point. Maybe possibly, maybe. I mean, personally, diet. Everything's connected. I believe. Your diet, your exercise.
Yeah.
And even doing after, making sure that you don't have any deficiencies in certain chemicals, vitamins. Vitamin D is actually surprisingly one
awesome
vitamin. Yeah, but I think 80% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D, and that's one of the leading causes of depression when you don't have enough vitamin D. So before, like, personally, I mean, I work in pharmaceuticals and things like that, and before you go down that route, like, I highly recommend blood tests, making sure that you have a deficiency, because that stuff's hardcore stuff, man.
And probiotics too. And
gut health. Gut health is so healthy. Health so healthy. It's so important.
Yeah, it's like, I guess you can take, because gut health's important, because you can take all the vitamins you want, but if you're not
absorbing it, it doesn't matter.
You're just flushing it right out. It doesn't do anything.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things that could be a reason why you've been feeling the way you. There's actually genes. I just took that 23andMe, and I did. I did the thing with Dr. Rhonda Patrick on her website where you can send your genes, and she does a whole breakdown of every gene that you have, and she pulls out the ones that could be possible problem areas. And I have a couple genes where naturally I don't absorb sunlight as well, and so because
your ivory skin.
And so my vitamin D levels could naturally always be low. So I take this stuff from Now Foods, which is my favorite supplement brand. It's very simple, very straight to the point, but it's 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. And when I get my blood test, I'm way fine. So omega-3s are very important. So these things, your genetics could cause you to be depressed, right? Because your blood is literally causing you to not absorb things, so
you're just more prone to
so there's a lot of different things,
like I'm anemic.
Interesting. I never guessed that.
Like,
gotta eat beef.
Well, that's a whole other thing. I have a few vegan friends, and we get into
I don't want to get
into that. I respect it. It's great.
It's not for me. I can't do it.
So that's that. But I think it's a great, ethically awesome thing. I think veganism is ethically. I applaud anyone that is a vegan, and I think it's awesome. But I don't want to get into the whole health, whatever. But for me being for me, I'm anemic, so I actually when I went to Florida, I forgot. It sounds silly because I'm really on top of like my vitamin intake and my iron intake. And I take like liver tablets and all that. I actually don't really eat that much meat. Naturally, I cut a lot of my meat out of my diet, but too. I do take a good amount of liver tablets and iron, which is, I noticed, as a side note, I notice a lot of, when it comes to meat, if you're like, I notice a lot of the meat that we eat is like the least nutrient dense. It's like the you know what I mean? It's like it's just
protein. There's no micro.
But if you want like nutrient dense like meat, like it's organ meat. It's like liver and all that, and kidney and
which also has really high cholesterol. So
I mean, you can't be eating that. You can't be eating liver every day. I'm not saying just start eating only liver, but it's a balance at the end of the day. But I remember when I went to Florida, I just forgot all my vitamins. I was like, I'll be fine. I'm there for 2 weeks. I'll be fine. I won't work out. I won't do any of that. I just focus on my art. And then within 2-3 days,
You're
I am dizzy. I'm like, what is going on? Like,
Gotta
I'm getting up and I'm kind
get a
of
burger.
And then my friend is vegan, so she's getting me, and I'm not against veganism. So I'm like, all right, you're just giving me this food. It's awesome. Veggies are awesome. Like, I'm not against it. Beans are great. But I just noticed I'm just very not. My equilibrium is just off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? I'm thinking just the heat. Maybe I'm not hydrated enough. I'm drinking water. And then I text my mom. I was like, she's like, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. I just feel dizzy. And she's like, are you taking your vitamins? I'm like, no. She's like, Grandpa, you're anemic. I'm like, oh crap, I completely forgot. I'm not taking any iron. Like, no wonder I'm like, and what's kind of what's interesting, the way I cope with it was with alcohol. It didn't help the anemia. It just helped me get distracted.
Yeah, forget about it.
I was just sort of like, this is a weird state of it being like drunk half the time on like sangria, and this goes back to just like people like, hey, you're feeling like crap. It's very easy to find like a really easy solution, like a drug or alcohol or whatever, to sort of cope with it. But I mean, I'm generalizing. I'm pretty sure people have many, many issues. But sometimes, check your diet. Maybe you feel like crap because your diet is crap.
Yeah.
Check that first.
Like, once you start introducing pharma drugs, that changes like a lot of what's going on. So just be careful. Well, not careful, because if you need it, you need it. But you really should take a blood test. I know a lot of people prescribe it like, well, tell me how you feel. Oh, you definitely need, let me give you some, Xannies. It's like, oh yeah, like, no, take a, I highly suggest doing blood tests.
I take a blood test once every 12 months.
Blood tests, a full panel.
At least once a year.
Yeah, full panel, get everything checked. Guys over 30, get your testosterone checked and stuff like that. Get some TRT. But
I'm looking forward to taking TRT when I'm 40.
Probably when I start. Yeah, maybe when I hit 40, I think I'm like 45, 40. But I still got a couple good years in me. So we got into a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but, what's up? Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so now you're a black belt. And I think the advice you were talking about was just like showing up, right? Like, just like, no matter what, like, you just got to keep going, right? And it's so funny because I think about the other guys that have been on the show that are all black belts, and they're all like, just show up. That's the key, right?
Yeah, it's not. There's no secret.
There's no secret.
I remember early on, you would ask me like,
let me see secret armbar.
And I'm like, dude, like, I was a blue belt at the time, purple belt, blue belt. I'm like, there's no secret, just train, man.
Well, I think there's ways to get better faster than everybody else.
There are. There's certain particular ways of training that are...
Even mentally, like the mental game, I mean, I've only been training the amount of years that I've been training, but I significantly, like, jumped over a lot of people during my purple belt stage. And I was like,
it's a good belt. Like, that's like where things start happening.
And it was, my mindset changed around that time. And I mean, it was just the way I trained was differently. The way I thought about jiu-jitsu was differently. But I was also very competitive. Like, I wanted to fight. I wanted to compete in every possible thing I could get into. Unfortunately, I got, really hurt a couple times. So took a little break. But now, slowly I'm getting back into it as an older fella, but more wise, right? Not as explosive as I used to be, but
smarter. Not harder.
Not harder. Yeah.
It's stimulate, don't annihilate. It's a bodybuilding kind of terminology.
Yeah, so actually that's what I want to get into next.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, both of us are smaller fellas in the world of combat sports, like,
and also there's just statistically we're just averagely, actually, on average, below average in size, believe it or not.
Yeah. And, you know, we don't have genetics like our friend Todd.
Yeah. I wonder if people that actually see this video, they're like, how small are these guys? I'm 5'7". I'm 5'7" and 160 pounds soaking wet.
I'm 5'7", 160, like on our every day.
Yeah. Like on a heavy day, I'm 160.
Yeah, which was so funny because I don't know if you were trying to make fun of me or if it was your way of motivating me, but back in the day, I was very overweight, right? Mm-hmm. And you'd be like, you're fat.
Yeah.
I was like, shut up, you're small. And, you know, because back in that time, you were like $125, $130.
I was like 125.
Right, yeah. And then we kind of went the opposite way.
Yeah,
There's a
you
point.
went down, I went,
I think we met where I got to 145 then you got to 155.
Yeah, there's a point I was actually bigger than you at one point. Yeah. Not bigger, but just heavier.
Yeah. And I was competing at 145. But I mean, you know, as smaller guys, we fight against. I mean, even in your gym, you guys have tanks in there. There's like NFL players in there and crap.
Yeah, this guy's named NFL Jay.
Jay.
He actually
was on what the Giants, right?
Jets.
Oh, the Jets.
He was on the Jets. Big guy. He actually lives in California now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got Tony Abode. You got like Tyra. They're all like huge dudes.
Ryan McKenna.
Yeah.
Who's this like? He's a Viking.
Yeah. That financial advisor guy that hit me, that he just like met me on LinkedIn, but he ended up. It's like such a small world, right? It's a big world, but a small world.
JR.
This guy on LinkedIn reached out to me. He's like, "Oh, you do jiu-jitsu? I do jiu-jitsu too." And we just started talking. And it turns out he trains at Performance.
Yeah, he's a brown belt. But
he's huge. He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's not tall, but he's just
he's a solid dude.
He's like a bear.
Yeah,
you know.
So
like,
you got a ton of
Damian O'Hara, who's like 225, 230, but can easily do a muscle up. Like, and that big athletic guy, great judo guy, player.
And then you've seen today, you came to my gym and you see, I mean, I'm surrounded by giants as well, you know.
Yeah, they're not all huge, but they're very athletic.
I wouldn't say giants. I would say athletic, more like beasts, just athletic.
Just naturally, athletic guys.
Monsters
like,
or whatever.
There's definitely like, you're like there. I'm like, like when it comes to just pure athleticism, I gotta work with where. Yeah. Like I wasn't just wake up one morning and I'm like,
So like, I mean, we have to really strategize going against bigger guys because it's like once they're on top, forget it. Like you have your friend Mario that you just talking about just sits on your chest whenever he just trying to get a breath.
Mario Gomez is an awesome guy, nice guy. Like just he's one of those guys like I want to be him when I grow up. Like I'm 32. Well, like he's a great guy, Marine, ex-Marine. Well, once a Marine, always a Marine. Yeah. So obviously,
he's no longer active duty.
I don't believe so. No, but he got his black belt in like 5-6 years.
What? Dang.
Yeah. And
how old is he?
Sadly, I know he's just older than me, so maybe 34.
Dang, that's crazy.
And like I think he's a former D1 wrestler, just like
he's just got that.
And he's not just good. He's one of those guys. He's one of those talented, skilled guys that works hard. So it's like that's the most dangerous. I'm like, I can't. Oh no,
that's the most dangerous combination.
You're talented and you work hard. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have a hard time with you.
Yeah. Surprising.
Because it's hard. And I'm not saying every guy that's talented doesn't work hard, but like. You know, sometimes our guys are talented,
but they're like
and athletic. They don't really sometimes don't put in. I'm generalizing. Sometimes they don't always put in the time.
Well, no, that's a lot of people, man. Yeah. It's just the way it is. But then you get a guy who's talented, and he's an animal, and he works hard.
Yeah, he pushes me. Like
then you're like crap.
Yeah, he's really like every time I go with them, I'm like, let's go for broke, dude.
How much does he weigh?
Maybe it's like 185, 190.
You're just solid, right?
But solid 180.
Yeah.
You know. But the funny thing about jiu-jitsu, especially gi jiu-jitsu, you don't really know how big certain guys are because they're wearing a gi. Yeah. So you don't know how jacked the guy is. You can feel him, you can feel the mass, but you don't really know how like muscular they are until they take off the gi. You're like,
what the easy?
Dang, you have like. You know, like these sort of like what Joe Rogan says, garden hose veins, garden hoses. It's like, you know, so I'm like,
beast.
what? But because of, I don't know, this the question. What was your question? Sorry.
Well, there's no question. I just like, you know, just being surrounded in that, you know, environment. It's just crazy. I mean, and what's crazy for me is that I need to cut weight because I need to get lower to get into the weight classes that I need to be in, right? To actually do something well.
Right.
And then I know, so what I was trying to get at was the next part was like, for you, you've been trying to gain that muscle. You've been trying to gain that weight. I don't know if it was one of the reasons was to hang with these guys or whatever.
That's one of the reasons, yeah.
So at one point you were $125, and then you put on 30, 40 pounds of muscle.
30 pounds.
30 pounds of muscle.
40 would be different. I'd be like 10 more pounds on me to be of muscle. Ooh.
Yeah, but it was all natural, and it took a long time. Like I remember you just eating and pounding stuff, and this is where I kind of wanted to get into your bodybuilding aspect, because you started that. I think from my memory, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe like really
3. Well, I guess.
Not like you were like kind of doing it, but like you really got into it. Yeah. I think about 2 years ago.
2-3 years, yeah.
Yeah, and you were like it just became a part of your life.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't mean Kool-Aid like I'm taking substances, but like I was like,
you're like, I want to be
like I want to,
Ronnie Coleman.
Like Kai Green, you're inspiring me. Thoughts become things.
Who is the recent guy?
Phil Heath?
No. The bald dude that's like, man, he's pretty famous.
Ronnie Coleman?
No. He's an older guy.
Bald dude.
I think he just had a heart attack, I think. Maybe.
Oh, C.T. Fletcher.
Yes, yeah. Like you were sending me videos of him.
Yeah, it says like grow or
I command you to grow.
And I was sending you videos like, look at this guy. This guy's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're going crazy, man. Like, what is going on? What is up with you? You're obsessed with.
Well, your focus was just getting.
I was very
big.
Well, the thing is that again, I have these weird like goals. Like I just get obsessed with certain things. But I just realized, like, growing up, I never really thought about my physique. I always thought about just like, anytime I went, actually, I've never really, I took some breaks getting to the gym, but when I went to the gym, it was never about like hypertrophy or hypertrophy. It was more about like being a machine. Like I'm just a machine. I'm just cardio.
Not stopping,
like
it was endurance aspect of it. Yeah.
So when you do a lot of endurance and you're cutting weight, you don't get that big.
No.
You get hard.
Yeah.
You get like jacked, like cut, but you don't get big.
Yeah.
Like, I was very lean, like 4% body fat.
Yeah.
But I was like 130 pounds. I was like...
Yeah, you're basically doing like cardio.
When I was wearing a t-shirt and I looked just like a normal dude. I took
high intensity cardio. That's pretty much
I'll wear my singlet or I'll take off my shirt. I'm just like cut. But I remember, and I remember this is years ago when I wrestled in high school. And this is actually during like a church thing, a church retreat. And I was going on a date with this girl. She's like, wait, what do you do for fun? What do you do? I'm like, well, I love wrestling. And she's like, what else do you do? I'm like, art. What else do you do? Like, that's it. Wrestling and art. That's all I do. And she's like, wrestler? You don't look like a wrestler. And I'm like, how am I supposed to look like? Well, you're not big. And like, she just kind of just dismissed my physique.
Yeah.
Which is, it was just not.
It's like, it crushes your soul.
being like 17, 18, like that can hurt. Like, that hurts. But because you see, like, you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, He-Man or whatever. They just will themselves to get bigger by getting mad, but you can't do that. You get mad and you get like charged up. But so when I trained jiu-jitsu, I did wrestling. I know I'm tough. I know I'm very, very strong-willed. I got through this depression. I felt like a badass. Like I was like, I'm a badass. Like I am. but physically be like, look at, you're like 130, like you're not like, I mean, people wouldn't say that, but I felt that. I felt that I wasn't physically enough. So, and that conversation can easily go to about, well, you know, the culture and all that, and being raised male, and there's all that. But I just realized, wow, like, no one, like, why don't I just get bigger? Like why? No one's telling me I can't just go to the gym and get bigger.
Yeah.
How do I do that? And you know, I started looking about hypertrophic ways of like working out.
There's a lot of science to it.
The science behind it, and like how, like so I scrapped the whole cardio thing. I'm a machine. Like I got cardio. That's not going anywhere. I mean, if I'm not keeping my cardio up, I can lose that.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's not gonna just.
I kind of stopped competing. So I was like, okay, no one's telling me I have to be 130 pounds anymore. Like, if anything, I was very much underweight. My doctor said you're very underweight. Like you're healthy, but you're underweight. Not bad, because your heart is kind of like not really working that hard. There's a whole nother thing to talk about when it comes to like weight gain, whether it be muscle or fat. But as I said, hey, I'm just gonna start working out, and as you know, thank God for YouTube and the internet, I just started researching how do I just get bigger. And you know, it's a lot of it is just food, you know, rest and like resting, food, and working out. You know, so, and the one thing a lot of people don't realize is that you don't really build muscle in the gym. You break down muscle in the gym. Like you break it down. You build it by eating and nutrition and resting.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that I wish I knew that during wrestling, because I would eat, but I wouldn't think about eating as a like way to replenish myself. I just thought I got to eat because I got to keep my weight down. Yeah. I got to just eat the salad because I don't want to gain weight.
Yeah.
And I realized,
you're killing all your gains.
Yeah, you're completely just killing everything that you're working out for. You're just destroying it because you're not replenishing anything. So, I mean, obviously steroids is a thing, and I'm like not going that direction because
I mean, that you got to be pretty hardcore to get down.
I was thinking about, I'm not gonna compete in like a G-string or whatever. Nothing against that. I have friends and colleagues that are bodybuilders, and that's their decision. And
it's their singlet.
The G-string is whatever. It's like whatever, but that's that. And for those that want to take particular substances or supplements or drugs to do that, it's their body, you know. It's their body.
Whatever.
It's like, okay, I'm not going to judge you. That's what you want to do that, you know. If it takes away a few years of your life, I mean, okay. I mean,
yeah, you have to deal with the consequences.
It's like, okay.
Every decision has a consequence, good or bad.
And I mean, some people have arguments about, it's not steroids, this and that. I'm like, well, if it's not the steroids, okay. Like, all right, it's not steroids, but you're definitely obese. and people say, well, obese, this guy's muscular. He can't be obese. If you're 240 pounds, 5'8",
your body still
doesn't matter if you're muscle or fat.
Your body doesn't know the difference.
Your heart doesn't know the difference. You're still working your heart's still working very hard to pump blood through your muscles. You're taxing your heart. I'm not saying steroids causes heart attacks, but I mean, I'm not a scientist, so people can disagree with me, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm okay being wrong, but I think, this is my opinion, that steroids and cause heart attacks, but it does cause you to gain weight, gain muscle. When you gain more mass,
if you do it, you have to do it correctly. It's not like you inject yourself with steroids and you get big. It's like you still got there's still a ton of work to do. That you have to work hard. I think what steroids mostly effective is just the recovery is just so crazy. You recover instantly. There is no like, oh, I'm still like, no. Once you do your set and then you're done and you go home, you can go right back and do the same exact thing and be ready to go.
You can like keep up for a day, and then do it again the next day, and then do it again the next day.
While us normal humans, it's like Oh, I just did my chest day. It was yesterday. I cannot, like, you can't physically do it again. You know,
the recovery is a huge thing. But I mean, that's I don't know why I talk about.
But anyway, yeah, you get bigger, and because you're bigger, you carry more weight. Because you carry more weight, your heart has to work harder.
Yeah. So I was aware that I don't want to gain too much weight because I don't want to. I'm doing this. I want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
So I decided, hey, if I'm 30, I can get to 160, and like I was saying, on a heavy day, I can get to 160, but it's predominantly just food. You know, it's just extra food in my stomach. But
you get there.
it was not a bit. It's just a number on a scale at the end of the day. Doesn't dictate how strong I am. But I just noticed when I started working out, people started looking at me. I was like, hey, I feel confident. My shirts feel tighter or whatever, and it's great. I mean, and I think physical appearance, even though it can be superficial to when it goes to an extreme, I think physical appearance is important. If you look in the mirror and you like what you see, you feel more confident. You perform better. There's nothing wrong with that. It's
good for your mental state.
Have
confidence.
My girlfriend likes how I look like. She's happy, and she works out too, which is awesome. And we have it's a cool bonding experience working out with your girlfriend. But I'm trying to be sensitive because people get very defensive when it comes to that. Like I remember one podcast in Joe Rogan's podcast, he had GSP. I think the first time he was on the podcast, and Joe Rogan was asking about his calisthenics and gymnastics, and he works out, and he's like, so is this part of like your conditioning? I'm butchering the interview, but he's like, so why do you do this to like, how does this help your fighting? He's like, it doesn't. And he's like, what do you mean? And with his Canadian French accent, he's like, well, he kind of said what I said. But if I look better, I feel better. If I feel better, I perform better. And I do think that liking what you see in the mirror is important. You know,
but that's like, again, eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah.
As long as you feel good about it, right? But there's also health implications.
Are you doing it in the detriment of your own health? That's different. Then it's not about. Then that's not good. Like, it's so it's like, so the good thing about being working out is that I became more I became more aware of what I was eating. Yeah. Then it became almost like the Matrix, where where Neo starts.
I know, I've been there.
Neo starts seeing like the numbers going down.
And then everything is just like, that's 20 grams of protein.
That's my carb. That's my macros. Those are my,
I just had like 100 grams. That's probably like 100 grams.
Yeah, like I was looking at the bowl. I was like, that's at least like 80 grams of sugar. Which could be a bad thing. It could be actually very annoying for some people where I'm like, look, I'm eyeing food. Like, that's probably 30 grams of protein right there. And like, that's probably like 20 grams of carbs. Right? Like, so again, it's about, but I think as long as you're enhancing your life in a positive way with positive addictions, like I think, I mean, people, maybe I'm using the word addiction correctly, but I think finding healthy addictions is a good thing. Like, people are addicted to working out. People are addicted to God. People are addicted to
whatever
other things, or jiu-jitsu,
things that help you better yourself,
and it's great, and I advocate that. But so like I got to a point where I was like 160-ish, but then I started feeling like I got above 160 at one point. I just started getting sick. I was like, I just feel sick all the time. Like,
you were eating a lot of crap.
I completely lost my six pack. I was like, where's my six pack? It doesn't matter. I'm getting big. And then I sent you a picture of me, and you're like, dude, lose weight. I'm like, no, I'm getting big. And just not doing like that. To me, I was just like, I'm just thinking of getting big, naturally getting big. Now I'm like, you know what? Let me calm down. Let me just focus more on health and performance and all that, and I'm good. But
has it helped in jiu-jitsu getting bigger?
Yeah. I think Elio Gracie is awesome. I think what he helped create and or what he took from Japanese jiu-jitsu and what he did was awesome. And he suffered from vertigo, I believe, and wasn't the most athletic guy and all that. And
but he was able to
accomplish. And funny thing, or not funny thing, but interesting thing is that his most accomplished competitions were ones he lost, which is interesting. Not the ones that he technically won. Yeah,
he fought Kimura, and
it's more the fact that this little guy
like
can handle this gorilla judoka guy. So I mean, of course, him winning would be awesome, but the fact that I don't want to call him feeble in any way, but like he was in this sort of presence.
Yeah, He-Man type.
But I want to mention Hickson. Like, it's not a coincidence that he's not even arguably. He is like the pinnacle.
Yeah, he is like he is Neo. Like,
he is. Yeah. He is Adam Warlock, like from like Marvel. Like he is like the dude. Like no one. Everyone you talk to, any top guy, they say Hickson. Yeah. You talk to Henzo, Hickson. Talk to Holler, Hickson. Like they all say Hickson. What did Hickson have above most of those guys? He was way more physical. Like he was a physical beast. Like he did yoga. Like he was super into meditation. He was super into just fitness. Like I mean, he wasn't this. He wasn't a bodybuilder in any way.
Was he big into surfing or swimming or something?
Like swimming. He was a very active guy. So it's not really. I'm not saying like the other Gracies weren't active.
Yeah.
But it's not a coincidence that when you have technique in jiu-jitsu and you add proper breathing, you add strength and athleticism. It helps. It's not going to hurt you. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people think that jiu-jitsu is about like flowing and all that, and it's. And that is a part because we rolled today and it wasn't like we just kind of like went 50%. I let you mount me, I got out. I got on top, you got out, and that's a good as well. But like when I go against like big black belts,
you gotta put it down.
Well, I'll use JT, and because we're about the same size, maybe like 10 pounds heavier than me, but around pretty much the same height. That guy puts it on me. Like he's not. I mean, I guess there is a sense of grace and flow what he's doing, but he's imposing his will on me. It's not comfortable. It's very, lack of a better word, painful.
It's like being tortured.
He's torturing me. It's terrible. So there's a point where I'm like, just tap me already. Just submit me. Just give you my neck.
I always say good jiu-jitsu is when you're torturing the other person.
Yeah, so, and again, so it's
making them suffer.
And I lucked out as a fact that I was started just as a small guy, like 130 pounds, and I learned my technique, and then as I continued progressing with my technique, I started adding strength to my technique, and I started adding more aggression and assertiveness and weight. So even though 155, I'll go against a guy that's 200 pounds, and it's like, that 50-pound difference isn't much of a difference. Yeah. So like I'm not I think a lot of some guys just think that don't like all the top guys are just smashers. Like they're gonna like I remember I met Andre Galvao and at JT's one seminar and I shook his hand. I'm like.
It's like
crushed me,
like gorilla's hand.
Like this guy's an athlete. Like there's a reason why he's like a 12-time world champion.
Yeah.
Like athleticism matters. Like it really does. It's
strength,
I think
explosiveness.
I really want people to, not romanticize jiu-jitsu. Like it's grueling. It really is. Like, if you're not, I don't want to say if you're not putting everything in, you're not doing jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying that, but like there's definitely levels, but the funny thing about Andre Galvao, he's a really nice guy, really great guy. But when you look at him in the eyes, you're like, oh,
you will rip my head off.
Yeah. I shook his hand. He looked at me. I'm like, oh, don't piss him off. You know, like, I mean, great guy. Like, we actually had a conversation, very brief. He probably didn't remember it, but for like us normal people, having a conversation with Marcel Garcia, having a conversation with Enrique about, so us, we remember for life. Like, I had one, but I'm pretty sure they talked to a bunch of people. But I remember sitting down talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, oh, you painted that hallway?" Like, yeah, that was me. I painted. I like your artwork. Like, I mean, he's not. I don't believe he's in any way art connoisseur, but still, $100 off my artwork. He thinks it's awesome. And
did you know he has like a Mona Lisa?
But then I asked him because I'm a teacher and I teach kids classes in jiu-jitsu and I teach private lessons as well. And I no longer compete, but at one point I did compete. Up until purple belt I competed. And I asked them, Andre, like, what's easier? Like, competing, or no, sorry, wrong question. I said, what's harder, competing or teaching? And he looked at me with a smile. He's like, the Brazilian accent, like, my friend, teaching is so much harder. I'm like, what? Like, I'm thinking, like, this guy say competing is the hardest thing. Like, no, like, teaching is hard, competing is easy. That's a fun part. Like, I can compete all day. Like, and he literally did. He, like, beat every single guy and not mad that day. Like, it was like 30. There's about 10 black belts that day. And he beat all of them. Then after that, then he's like, hey, JT, let's roll.
They, like, roll for, like, 45 minutes.
Yeah, they roll for, like 20 minutes or 25 minutes. But it was like, what? So it was like the fact that this top competitor with like Altos is probably one of the top, it's definitely the top school today.
Yeah.
The fact that the head instructor was like, teaching is hard. I was like, huh. Like, can I give you another perspective? Because I always felt like, competing is where it's at. Competing is where it's at. And competing is great. There's nothing wrong with competing. Like, competing is awesome. But the fact that I got one of the top competitors telling me that teaching is harder than competing is easier, I was like, oh wow, I need to put way more value in teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we look so like we tend to look down upon it, right? Like it's just like, oh, he just teaches.
Oh,
and it's like
you teach kids classes.
Yeah, but it's like, oh man, teaching kids jiu-jitsu is one of the most hard, like it's hard.
It's hard to put into words.
It's hard.
It's
yeah.
Work. It's work.
I did it for a couple of years, and now I can see the new guy that we have teaching the kids. He's just like, it's a whole different world, you know. And then you teach the adults, and then everybody has their opinions and things like that, and so. It's like, how do you deal with all these people? You just have to deal, you know, and I can understand. I can see that it can suck.
It can get grueling. Like it's actually mentally exhausting.
Yeah, that's the best word for it.
Mentally exhausting. It's not like you're mad.
Yeah,
you're not mad or upset.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can be mad or upset, but at the end, even a good day, you just like you sit down, and you're like,
yeah. But I guess for me it's a lot of reward. I love teaching the jiu-jitsu, on the day that I teach, and I have my curriculum and stuff like that, and it's one of the days like that hypes me up during the week, but also I really enjoy when I'm there teaching it, and then everybody's like, oh man, that was such a great class, thank you so much, and honestly. I could care less about that. It's more like for myself, did I accomplish what I came here to do today? Did I get my point across clearly? Did the students in the class actually use the techniques that I taught? And then when I actually see it and they hit it, I'm like it makes me so happy.
It's like a great sense of accomplishment when you get to. It is hard, but when you're teaching like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old a triangle and breaking down the triangle and
oh my gosh, it's like
it's hard, but when you see them do it,
Oh, it's the biggest. Oh,
it's
my
like,
gosh.
what? This kid understands the anatomy. He knows the triangle.
Yeah.
When that's hard for an adult to figure out, but then you see
Mm-hmm.
a child like understand that, like,
Yeah, it's so rewarding.
yeah.
There's that. I mean, I was one of Liam's coaches. Liam Zay. He's
Yeah, I remember.
you know,
I never met him, but yeah, I know him.
yeah, he's well, he trains at Gary Tundon's now.
Mhm.
He every time I taught him something that he hit, he legit like hit. He recently did a move that I taught him at a recent tournament. I think like a couple weeks ago or whatever. But he used my move, and I was like, yo, I taught him that. Yeah, it was
That's me.
Yeah, it was a no-gi paper cutter.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah.
I like that.
From the Neon Belly,
Yeah.
and he set it up and bang hit, and I was like, why are you still using like something that I showed him?
Yeah, it's good.
And
It's rewarding.
yeah, it's such a good feeling, man.
It's like it's not equal, but it's a different sensation than winning a tournament.
Yeah. Winning a tournament's weird, right? Like I remember when we did that one in Connecticut, and I won that one, and I was like, all right, we did what we came to do. Let's go. Let's get some pizza. It was like whatever.
Even your Muay Thai fights.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to go home.
You just want to leave.
Yeah.
You don't feel, not so you don't feel accomplished, but it's just like
this was supposed to happen.
okay, I'm done. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, like you kind of feel rewarded after
Mhm.
it's all said and done. When you're falling asleep. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then when you see somebody do something, that's like a whole, like what? Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, he did it in the match or whatever. It was so funny. Even Cicero, he had a smoker fight because he trains with Phil Nurse, or he did. Cicero was my roommate, or my ex-roommate. He moved out, bought himself a home himself, which he's having some trouble with right now. But home ownership is hard.
Yes.
But he was. I showed him this combination because he actually has a pretty good front inside leg kick, and I was like, dude, just keep doing this combination, and you will frustrate the crap out of your opponent. And as he was doing the smoker, I was like, inside leg kick 1 2, and he kept doing it, and he ended up being like,
I remember saying that.
Yo, I was so surprised because I was like, yo, his opponent looks pretty good, and he's about to get thrashed.
Yeah.
But he actually put it on him.
And this is where I actually like seeing like I don't say call Cicero weak and feeble.
Yeah.
But he's not like a very.
He's not the most athletic dude.
Athletic guy.
He lost a lot of weight. I helped him lose a lot of weight.
But seeing the guy like that, be able to just strike some.
Somebody that was actually athletic and that has been training.
It's like, wow.
Yep.
Nice. That's an accomplishment. But it's an interesting thing when you see people transform.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago. I know it's not about Cicero, but I remember years ago we were like at a retreat or something. No, we went to Virginia or West Virginia. I forgot which one. And I was like, Cicero, I'm tougher than you. He's like, what? No, you're not. You're not tougher than me. I'm like, Cicero. I can beat you up, Cicero. This is before I even did jiu-jitsu. This is wrestling. And I just kind of out wrestled him into the ground and just pinned him. And I'm like, I was wrestling. It's like, I win, I pinned you. And I'm like, what, you didn't win? You just held me down. I'm like, I did it again.
Yeah.
Like,
he's kind of scrappy.
He's
always been scrappy.
He's kind of scrappy. Yeah, I admit that to him. And then seeing, I never told him I was proud of him, but then years later, 12 years later.
He's doing Muay Thai.
Seeing him fighting him Muay Thai.
He did it when he was 34.
Yeah,
he's an older fella.
He's not
yeah.
30s is not old, but you're not like a spring chicken.
No, exactly. Yeah. He's probably But that might honestly he might have been in the best shape of his entire life at that point.
But seeing this guys get off me. So
and then now he's fighting.
Just doing the combination, hey, yo,
pretty good.
I don't want to fight him. I don't want to bother him now.
Yeah.
I didn't bully him, but I don't sound like a bully. But
No, we were all like stupid friends. Like we
Yeah.
all knew each other and messed around. Yeah. But yeah. So I think there's a lot of key points in there. It's like when you want to get to that level, you need to have every aspect, like strength, power, explosiveness, athleticism. Like you got and the knowledge, the just everything. It has to all come together. And I think you've are a pretty interesting example because you were the small kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got to a relatively
I filled
athletic.
my frame.
You got to fill your frame, and then it's helped you. For me, I was the opposite, and losing it was definitely an improvement for myself. I'm way more athletic than I was when I was like a $190, close to 200 pounds. But we're getting close to the end. I always do this as the last question of my show, which is quirks. Any specific quirks that you have outside, like anything you enjoy doing, anything that is outside of the realm of art, martial arts, any type of something that people wouldn't really know. I know a lot of people have talked about Dungeons and Dragons, like Magic the Gathering.
That's funny.
Yeah. For me, anime.
Anime is cool too. I love One Punch Man. Anti-anime.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing that's kind of odd, and I tell some of my students and like family, and they're just like, "What? You do that?" To give context, being raised with two siblings and a single mom, like you really never did anything by yourself. Where I never really did. I was always with my brother, my sister, all three of us, and my mom, and it was always like a family thing. If we went somewhere, the whole family went because it was one mom, no dad in the household. So if we went to the supermarket, we all went. Like if we went to church, we all went. Like everything was a together thing. Which is the norm. It wasn't like I was annoyed by it. That's just what it was. Okay, we're going to the supermarket. We're going. I'm not staying home. Like where I wasn't allowed to. And then we went to movies. We all went. I couldn't even pick a movie. It was like, so one of my weird things is that I love going to the movies by myself.
Oh yeah, you do that.
I love doing things by myself. Like I like the best.
So
it sounds weird, but when and also church. Like for church, I mean, looking back, I don't regret or I don't I'm not like, Mom, how dare you raise me in church? That's like, thank you. I think it's the best. You gave me a solid foundation. It's awesome. I'm not even mad about that. I think it's great. My mom's very, very protective and very made sure the influence coming in that she made sure she curated what was coming in. She didn't allow. She's like, I'm not allowing anyone to raise my kid. I'm raising my kid. I'm making sure whatever he's saying on TV, I know what he's saying. So, which is great. I'm not against that. But when you're in church, it's always a group thing. It's always a group thing. And if you're by yourself, they're like, what are you doing by yourself?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Don't go. No. Come on. You're being be
antisocial.
Yeah, be a part of it. So I just, as an adult now, being 2 years old, I just adopted doing. I love going to diners by myself. I'll just go to diner okay, how many? Just me. You? Again? Yeah. I just love doing
that's so
eating by
funny.
myself.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's weird. It's because I'm around people all the time.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I understand. I know people that are like that.
Art, even though art is a very the
social experience.
It's solitude, but to be quote unquote successful in art, you have to be social. You have to put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like it because it's kind of I'm not regressive, but I kind of go back to being a child. I don't have to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to have a conversation with anyone. I can be in my own little world. I can write, draw, whatever.
Yeah, nobody can tell you.
No one's bothering me. When my mom and my sister went to Puerto Rico for something, for like a week. That was the best thing ever. I was like enjoying myself. Like, so I think it's one of the core things because like solitude isn't a bad thing. So I mean, it can be. I mean, it can be a bad thing, but like, I truly enjoy being in my own thoughts and by myself. But not all the time. That's not good either. Balance there, but yeah, I like going. I'll go to movies by myself, and sadly, and I'm pretty sure my girlfriend wouldn't see this because I'm gonna share this video to her. But like, she would say, "Hey, we're gonna see like this movie," and she's like, you haven't seen it yet, right? Because she knows I watch things by myself. So I'm like, nah, I didn't see it. She's like, I bet this is gonna happen. I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen. She's like, how do you know? I'm like, just guessing. So I kind of lie to her sometimes, like that I already saw movies already, but of course I want to. I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, I'll go watch it with her as well.
Yeah.
Pretend kind of like.
Pretend like, okay, I did watch it.
Yeah. But yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not going on a tangent, but yeah, I think that's one thing that's like people just find that like, huh? But when I explain it, I was like, okay,
no, it makes
sense.
Total sense.
Okay,
yeah,
sense.
That's very quirky, but it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's like doing things by yourself, go to dine by yourself.
I've never been able to do that stuff like by myself. I don't know what I just couldn't. I have anxiety, like weirdness stuff. So I'm like, man, I don't want to go and like sit in the or go to a movie theater. Like, but I do a lot of things at home. Like sometimes I can be like a hermit, you know, where I'm like, I don't want to go out today. Like, that's like, I just want to chill at home. You know, I'm a very homebody. I mean, it just. If I have to go out, it's got to be for something, you know?
Yeah. Well, what I mean by doing things by myself, I mean like going out.
Yeah, you like to go out.
Like I literally go on a date with myself. Like.
You like to enjoy the things out there on your own.
On my own.
Yeah. I'm very much the opposite, where those things I like to do with people, but when I'm not with people, like. I don't want them in my personal space. Like, stay away from me when I'm, hanging out and doing my thing.
In the beginning, it's kind of odd. Not odd, but it's it's a odd experience because you'll see someone else with someone else talking. You're by yourself. Not to get too like, spiritual, or whatever, but I think being present in your own space without some sort of like person to constantly acknowledge your existence. I think it's like, I don't know, I get this sense of like, not power. I don't know, I can't find the right word, but I feel like I'm enough by myself. I don't need this person, that person. Like, I'm okay. Like,
that's deep.
If I want to get deeper into it, I can get it. But like, I mean, not to sound like it's gonna sound terrible, but like, we in a way we all kind of die by ourselves. Like a death is a very lonely experience. I don't know if I'm experienced, but I'm assuming it is. It's and I noticed, and during a conversation, you notice that like. I get a lot of affirmation from other people telling me, don't do this, or you can't do that, I'll show you, or, you're arrogant, okay, I'll show you. It's a lot of affirmation, external affirmation. I think it's important to sort of be present in your own body, in your own mind, and like, and kind of quiet myself.
Yeah.
And I think doing something by myself, like going to a diner or going to like Barnes & Noble, reading a book, or by myself, it's like, and in a way it can be a very meditative experience. And I mean, it's not always is. Sometimes I'm just stuck on my phone. That happens, but I think that and it's true. Like, people come and go, and am I, like I love my girlfriend. She's awesome, and I'm very confident that our relationship is going to evolve and develop, and I'm looking forward to our future together. But if that happened to sort of fall apart sometime, It'll bother me, but I'm confident I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm confident because I can do all this things by myself without her. I'm happy without her. She adds to my life.
I think that's that's probably where a good relationship is, because you're not like, my happiness does not determine whether if you're here or not.
Yeah, you present in my life does not determine my happiness. Mm-hmm. Same with my mom, my sister, my brother. You know, like we live very different lives. So it's I mean, I don't want to say I think emotionally self-sufficient is important.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
You know, so
not like you're being a jerk and be like, I don't need anybody.
No, it's not like I don't need anybody, but like, hey, if you want to be a part of my life, you're an addition. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a part of it, great. But in no way is my happiness dependent on you being around. Like, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
it's getting to a point where you can live this life without, relying on another person
for
comfort or whatever.
Like, a
reassurance. It's just getting to a point of that level of confidence.
Yeah. If you had it, oh great. Like, I'm not saying you don't have that, but I think.
And I think also people are built differently too. I'm more on the spectrum of what you're saying, but I also know that some people just they just need it.
Yeah. And that's where I need to be empathetic.
Yeah.
I just gotta understand.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right.
Yeah. And people are built differently. Again, you're a highly goal-driven person. You're thinking more about accomplishing certain things. Everything else is just addition. Yeah. Same as myself. There's a lot of things that I want to achieve that doesn't involve any person outside of me, myself. Everything on top of that is an addition.
Yeah.
The reason why I love my fiance is because I want to add her to my life. But I don't need her to do the things that I'm already doing.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. She's like, okay, be a part of my team now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I want you to be in my team, and I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. But if you never showed up into my life, I'd still be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'll still be doing jiu-jitsu. I'll still be
exactly.
I'll still be doing all these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that spectrum, and then there's the other spectrum where people kind of, other people, they do need that. They're built differently. Everybody has a different personality type. Everybody has a different, reliance or whatever. I mean, maybe it's not a person for you and me. Maybe it's a thing for us. Maybe for, like, to say if I didn't have jiu-jitsu, I probably wouldn't be like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe if you took out a person and said, hey, like, I can't have jiu-jitsu anymore. I can't have this anymore. Then I'd be like, what the? You know what I mean? Then I'd be a little.
You demon. How dare you take this away from me?
Yeah. So it's just that it's at the end of the day, we all do need something.
Of course.
So, but I understand what you mean. Like, I don't think I want to put it on on a person, because that's a lot of pressure to carry.
On that person.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about. I mean, this is supposed to be in the conversation. You guys, I guess you can put it out. But for me, I guess talking about relationships, but I remember in the past when a person or persons in the past were like, believe it or not, I actually only had 2 girlfriends ever. I was very growing up, I was very much goal oriented. Mm-hmm. I was like, girl, all right, like, girlfriend, you're not gonna help me get successful, like. Mm-hmm. So that's good and bad. There's both sides. But I remember when I felt like a person was sort of depending on me for their happiness and security, I'm like, go away. Like, I cannot handle that pressure. Like, you want me to make you happy? Like, and that's not that, and I don't want to sound like that is their deficiency. Oh, look at them wanting. It's more like I am not confident and or capable of doing that. That's a lot of pressure on me. What if I ruin you? Like, what if what if I do that to you? So I'm gonna keep my distance from you. That when individuals or when I feel that, sense that, I tend to push people like, okay, don't get too close.
Yeah.
Because I'm human and I'm imperfect and I know this and you don't know that yet, but I'm not saying I'm a terrible person, I'm gonna destroy you or anything like that, but when you know that when an individual kind of just relies on you a little bit too much, for me, it's like, it's
a lot of pressure.
It's pressure. And then I'm like, before it gets crazy serious or before you get too attached to me, I rather just keep my distance. Not because not actually out of hate, because I actually care about you enough to be like, I don't want to ruin you. Like, I don't want to do that to you.
Totally understand. Yeah.
But that's all. You can probably
Yeah. So, we're at the end, and I just, I'm probably gonna link, all your things and such. I know, you sell merchandise. You brought this pin in today. I wore it during the show. And I'll post all the links for people interested in that. And you're continually growing as an artist, continually growing, with jiu-jitsu and everything else. It was very nice to have you come over and do this.
Yeah, we haven't spoken in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Since I got engaged, I think.
and
it's been crazy busy. So.
But busy, it is a good busy.
Yeah.
It's not a bad busy.
But yeah, man, get home safe, and I will see you probably at my wedding or something.
Hopefully you invite me.
Yeah. No, I'll send you the invitation.
Awesome.
All right.
Great. That's it. Awesome.
I think the camera's died.
I hope not.
What's up, everyone? Thanks so much for watching the episode. If you liked what you saw, make sure to subscribe, comment, like, and definitely share, because you never know who this could help. If you'd like to buy any of the products that were discussed, the links are all available in the description below under the video. Make sure to use my links so that I can get paid. And if you'd like to further support what I'm doing, you can send me Bitcoin and Litecoin to my wallet addresses that are also in the description. Thank you all again so much for watching and your support for the project. Peace!